All right, what's going on out there, guys? Got Darius Staples coming here today from the podcast. We'll get right into it. Let him introduce himself. I know I've been away for a little bit. One thing I kind of want to put out there right away, because my guy here happens to be a black guy, African American, whatever you want to call it. I had somebody inbox me and stupidly said it's like, hey man, I noticed you having like all these black guests on there and stuff, and I just want to dispel that, whatever. I got a lot of friends of a lot of different colors and everything. It just happen to be the guys I'm having on are the guys that in the order that they appear. There's no race stuff here. I'm not a pro-black, whatever. I'm proud of who I am and what I am. I'm comfortable with my skin anywhere. So just to get all that race BS out of there, I know that's like the race bait and the Me Too and everybody doing all this crying and whining. I build cars, race cars, and do music and stuff like that, and pretty much martial arts, and that's what I care about. All the other stuff outside of that, whatever, man. You can't control that. Your taxes are going to be what they are. You're going to pay them every year and moving with that. So kind of just putting that out there and moving along again, just to bring it on a more upside. Again, this is Darius right here. Let's introduce himself a little bit, then we'll get into it.
What's up? My name is Darius Staples. I'm originally from California, but I'm a military family, so I spent a lot of time in Japan and Okinawa mainly. So that's where I guess the car bug hit me, which is how I kind of got led here. But just a car enthusiast, music enthusiast, video game enthusiast, just a regular dude.
Yeah, so pretty much, man, that's all. One thing is everybody out there, they notice is like how what kind of binds or brings people together. Mostly everybody here, I'm connected. Everybody that comes here is always cars almost.
Yeah.
So then you got the gaming, I game, you got music, we got the NPC right here. I do music. So for us, we got connections multiple different ways and everything. So that's why I was I know we're going to kind of link up. And from the, and also from the car aspect, being a customer, all my customers don't do this, and it's nothing against anybody out there. It's just after getting to know people, I don't know how we got on the music stuff, and then we start talking about that. Then I got the gaming stuff from you there. It kind of, you'll see this guy's doing more stuff or whatever, and it kind of developed a relationship there. So then it's kind of it's weird because then we have the shop customer relationship, and then outside of that we'll just talk normally. We'll get into it a little bit later. We had some stuff pop up, which is why your engine is back here and everything, and it is kind of a weird situation again, because normally people will separate that because honestly they're awkward. They can't deal with too many things. So I'm pretty sure Bill Gates doesn't have parties for all those people that buy Windows PCs because you can't. Yeah. You know what I mean? So cool thing about me is I'm a small business, so I can do small business stuff, still run it professionally and everything. But yeah, man, as far as your how did you get into cars and music and gaming and all that stuff? My bad. What were you into first?
So the first thing I was ever into was cars. Even as a little kid, ask anybody that knows me. I've been talking about cars. Fast and Furious, obviously, that's my generation. Yeah. But the first time I really got into it and drifting and stuff like that, Japanese cars more specifically, was in Okinawa. I had a friend, Chris, and he was a hardcore Hachiroku head. Mm. And
what's his last name?
Kelly.
I think I know him or know of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he worked at the commissary when I worked there as a bagger, and he would just put me on, tell me about stuff. I seen his cars. At one point, he was talking about hooking me up with an R32. One that he was working on, but that never panned out because my parents wouldn't let me get my license. But after that, there's a lot of kids there that are half Japanese and half American. Yeah. So they're always the ones that have the cars, they'll have Silvias and Skylines and stuff like that. So just hanging out with them, the bug bit. Yeah. And then I didn't have a car until I came back to Japan, and that's when I got my first Skyline. And after that, it was all downhill from there.
What years were you in Okinawa?
So I've been there for a total of 10 years, but the last time I was there, I graduated from high school so it was 2009 to...
Damn, man, I feel old, man.
to 2013.
Okay.
So, and that's when I had left the last time, and I haven't been back since.
So you're both parents were Mill, or
both my parents are Marines?
So
yeah,
you're just like Quan, man. Yeah. Both Marines?
Yeah.
Oh shit, man.
Both crazy.
So that's why you're in the Air Force. Then it's like, yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, my dad dragged me into the Marine recruiter's office, and I was like, nah, I don't need any part of this.
Yeah, I can tell everybody, man. I was going to go Marines before my scholarship to University of Maryland, play football and all that stuff, and academics, and I play football. Don't want to pose, and the guy was like, he seen me had the offer for the scholarship. He's like, dude, take that, which is surprising. Most recruiters like, nah, you want to do all that stuff. So for me, I just after I did the research and talked to a lot of different buddies and met different people, it's like, yeah, dude, all that the commercials, it makes you looks like you see the SEAL commercials and the Marine commercials and all that stuff, and it's like good propaganda. Then once you get there, you're in all branches, you're like a glorified grass cutter, painter, everything else, man. So anybody out there looking to join the military, you're definitely gonna do everything but your job for the most part, unless you're deployed. Honestly,
the job that I actually do or did, I'm about to PCS, like day to day, was nothing like they. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. Like if they would have actually broke down for me what I'm actually going to be doing, I probably wouldn't be in the military. Yeah, because I'm ammo. So they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna be building bombs, building missiles, working with all the munitions. I'm sitting at a desk like scheduling and working in.
So you actually work on a. So you on a flight line, a back shop, or?
So I guess I'm what you would consider like back shop, but I go out to the flight line for like deliveries and stuff. But
yeah, I don't know why I thought you were like. I don't know. Jared's calm, or he's calm, right?
He's PR.
Yeah. So I don't know why I thought you worked up in the what is that, the commanders, like that whole deal. Maybe I got another dude I'm thinking about, but yeah. But man, that's definitely kind of the craziest thing about the military is if you go to military.com and read the description of the job, that thing is spiced up, like it's a really good writer there, and he's like, we got you, man. So I mean, the cool thing about it, man, definitely without joining, that's why I don't knock it, because without being in the Air Force, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't meet all the people I met, and so it's definitely I played my cards. I was a little older, so I knew they were going to use me and get what they wanted, and that's why I tell everybody else, definitely, take advantage of all the stuff you can do while you're in. That way, when you get out, you can stack things up and move along. And also, it plays into one thing I see a lot of guys go, I'm going to get in here, retire, and all that stuff. That's cool, but as you know, nobody lives on, unless you got something. I don't know. Unless you got something really crazy going on, most guys can't live on their retirement alone. The retirement is just like a little subsidized fund to help supplement. I'm 80% VA, so I mean, with my kids and everything, that kind of, it's a good little chunk to help out, but it doesn't do everything. So even if you got 100% VA, that's not going to pay for your life and everything. So
yeah, like my parents both 20 years retired. Yeah. My dad got out and became a police officer. Yeah. And my mom works at the BX.
You still active?
No, he recently got out, but he wasn't trying to get killed. He's like, I already did.
In Cali?
In Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah, so it's like you do all this work and then you get out and you have a little cushion, but you still got to go right back to the grind.
How long did you do on the force and everything?
Maybe like 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, you do. Yeah. So you probably got everything set up and everything. So what's he doing now? He just chilling?
I think he drives a bus.
Drive a bus. Yeah. So that's crazy, man. You go from whatever you did before Marines to Marines, 20 years to a cop to. So it's like that's the progression of life and everything, man. You're like really never done, and you just gotta keep moving and doing stuff. And only most guys from the generation your dad's from, a little bit more guys that grind a little bit more. Versus now, not saying that everybody that's in the new era is soft and don't know what they want to do and don't know where they want to go and stuff like that. But there's a difference in the technology that we have available. Most guys, PayPal is up here with it was Elon Musk or whatever. I didn't know. A lot of people don't know he's behind that. So now, man, you can you can almost. I wouldn't suggest it. But you can almost go off the grid and make enough money, and right at the point before you got to claim, all on PayPal. People making stuff and selling stuff and everything. So, but as far as like you say, the music and everything, how'd you get into that?
Music, I got to thank my dad for that one. So everybody knows FL Studios. It's been around for a long time.
Fruity Loops, a.k.a.
Yeah. My dad had it on his computer, and he's probably never going to see this, but I would sneak into his computer room because I would hear him messing with it, and I would be that doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah.
So I would sneak in when he wasn't around and like start messing with it. And then when I finally got my own laptop, that's like the first thing I downloaded. Then I just start messing with it. And like I'm fully self-taught. I don't claim to know everything, but everything I do know, I've taught myself, which is the cool thing about, the modern age. Anything you're interested in, you can just teach yourself how to do it.
Yeah.
So there was, doing that with my friends. All my friends, close friends in high school, were like into music. So I would throw beats together and we tried to do a little thing, but nothing panned out. And then nowadays, I just kept with making the beats. And then my wife is a musician and now she's trying to pursue her music career. And, it's just, I claim it as more of a hobby. I don't want to be professional, but it's really like a passion of mine, whether it's listening or making. I just like cars. I kind of like live it and breathe it.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. So right here you got the page we'll bring up. So for those guys out there who want to check out some of his music, your music name is Sound of Music, correct?
Yeah, Sound of Music.
Was it the first name or?
The first thing was, I think it was like Drummer Boy or something, but I think that was taken.
Yeah.
And then I came up with Sound of Music. People still give me flack about it. I like it. I don't plan on changing it anytime soon. I put this page together like the year I graduated high school, and it's been the same ever since.
How many tracks you got about what?
I don't know, maybe like 25
tracks. So
I had way more, but this was it was when SoundCloud used to delete stuff.
Yeah. So you got to pay. Did you pay for yours or not?
No, I haven't paid for it yet. I don't know if I can get that stuff back if I pay for it.
It's still there.
Yeah,
because I got about 240 tracks, and if you don't pay, it'll go to like it'll take all the tracks before you run out of the time and everything. So I got the the reason I pay for mine is because I always put my music in the videos, and then people will go back, well, that track's not there, and then I was like, all right, well, I got to pay for it again.
Well, that'd be interesting because all that stuff, that older stuff, is from my high school days.
And you uploaded it here, right?
Yeah,
it's still there. It's just hidden. So they cut it off at your whatever your minutes was for the thing. So if you go back on there, it's still there. But anyway, for the guys out there, I'll link this down in there. For the tracks, I'll put one of his tracks at the end of the video, so you guys can check it out. And you just go in there and listen to it, and check that out and everything. So yeah, man, for the music stuff, for me, man, of course, I got in. I was always I grew up in a era of like I'm East Coast, so of course I like Wu-Tang, Mobb Deep, Nas, all that stuff, and always in the earphones. So always wanted to like make beats, never knew how to start. And then my guy Jarvis Hall got me with this guy Eric, and I went over there one day and he was doing the same thing. Fruity, it was called Fruity Loops back then, and I was like, oh man, I didn't know people like regular people could do this. Yeah. And so he's like, yeah, man. He gave me a copy of the CD, and that was like it, man. And then like I started making like whack beats, like way before. I was just trying to make stuff, and then before the sampling stuff, then I played it for a few people, and they was like, he's like, yeah, man, that's pretty nice, man. Like, nah, and you can tell me, he's like, yeah, it's whack. And then so I kind of got discouraged from that, and then I would play with it here and there, and then like 2008, man, I went to 2008, 2009, I was in Iraq. And a guy, my guy Josh Hardy, who I brought up on the last time, he was like, yeah, man, did you ever try these VSTs? I'm like, nah, what's that? The plugins, So I got the VSTs, man. And that all that lame, not lame, but it was just not hip hop sounds for the stock Fruity Loop stuff. And then the VSTs, like I had the all these like it was just like a different thing. Then I got the MPC, man, and that just, for me, it took everything out because I play trumpet, and then to actually physically touch it is a different. For me, it's a different. I don't know. Everybody's different, man. But for me, the physical touching, it made it a lot more better to get everything done and do what I wanted to do and everything. So that's how I got into it, man. But then far as your music though, like what do you just like? Is it a hobby thing, or are you trying to do anything with it, or?
So I wouldn't mind if it turned into like a job. I think the skills that I've got just from the engineering standpoint, like how to do the full setup and how to make sure your sounds are right and set up the plugins and everything, those skills are like valuable skills, Yeah. So if it works out, like my wife's going to college for music engineering too. So if it works out to where we can start something, I may try to open up a studio someday. That'd be nice. But I really love that creation aspect of it. Like, so you said yours. Yeah, you said you're from the East Coast. So my mom's originally from New York. My dad's from Alabama. So I've got like both like the Southern stuff and the East Coast stuff. So that's really where my sound kind of is, but then I'm like, I guess you could say the new generation.
Yeah.
So like you're playing some of the music that I like earlier, and it's like it's mixing that the new sounds with the old school kind of like way of doing it.
That's
and
why the one beat that was playing when you came in here, man. That's when I heard that. I was like, man, because that right there is like that style, man. I mean, I got like the West Coast, it's cool, and but they got their signature sound and everything. It's just, I think for the music aspect, to make the best music, I think you got to make what's comfortable. So it's the same thing. Like I listen to a lot of techno, a lot of electronica, but I try to make one. And it just didn't work out, man, because like that mindset, most of those guys are on drugs, to be honest. Like, so it's like that you're to make music with a distorted mind, and it's not going to be the same as straight, I don't do drugs.
Yeah.
And like, it's just the levels and the openness. And also, like, again, too, like, most of those things take like 2 minutes to even open up. It just starts with this and it builds into this. And for me, man, my beats, are like that, man. Like, I mean, I like sometimes I get right to it, get into it and everything. You'll play the hook first and then get into it. But then, like, just like a lot of the new guys, man, like you got to catch their attention right away in the first 10 seconds or they just going to go to the next track.
Yeah. And I think SoundCloud also doesn't help with that, because I'll be sitting there for hours just clicking through. This isn't it. And then I'll find something that's like, oh, I like that sound. Then I'll give it a shot. I've been trying to be better about like letting the whole song play out before I put my judgment on it. But
that's like in mine particular, like most guys will message back and it'll start, because I don't particularly make mine for rappers or anybody that rap. When it maintains the 16 8 whatever, and the but like what I do, man, is like I'll take, I mean, when I sample, man, the sampling is in itself is kind of like it's anybody can do it. So what I do is I'll sample like two or three different versions of the same song, mix those in there, and then like I'll change it up, and then it's kind of like if you listening to it, it unfolds as a story. So I think the longest beat I got is like 8 or 9 minutes long, and it goes like it transfers and then it goes back, and then it's all there, man. So it's different styles. And then I mean, for me, when I listening to it going on to Tokyo, it's like I was like, oh man, it's like, I don't know, man. One thing I know you felt it before, man, is like getting chills from your own music is a different feeling, dude. Like getting chills from some music that somebody else made is like cool, but like from your own, something that you create, like, oh man, I made that.
Yeah. And then I'm like, how did I even do that?
Yeah, but I was like, man, if I had to like in that whatever mindset I was in, I probably could recreate it, but to get that snare to fall right, or even like sometimes a mistake will become like cool, and you leave that in there, because the one thing I see about music, man, is a lot of people try to make that perfect track, and then you go back and look at like dudes like Jay Dilla, where they purposely made it offbeat, and then when somebody else listened to it they're not at that level, they're like, oh man, that's off. I'm like, no, actually I made it to be off that way, or unquantized. A lot.
Yeah, and FL Studio doesn't really help with that, because it's got the training wheels on right out the gate. Like, it'll quantize it for you. It'll snap everything to like the closest the beat or whatever, and then that's how you end up with everything sounding the same. So that's why I like you use MPC. You can go in and it does some of that stuff for you, but then you can kind of go in and put your own. Like
you can do like your 1/8, 1/16, 1/32. Or you can just go. You can press the button and turn it off, and then you'll have is like, because sometimes that sample you just can't line it up. Yeah. So then what you try to do is you'll just play that. You'll key the sample, and then you'll go to the next track, and then you'll press record, and then you'll play the drums how you want to do it and everything. So the way I do my style is a little bit different from the guys who just do like track 1 snare, track 2 hi-hat. I play mine, so I play it. I actually play it live first to find what I want to do. Then I'll go back and then I'll record how I played it, or sometimes I'll press the record, go to the next track, and actually play it. So that way it's not I was watching like Pete Rock, like some old school beat making stuff, man, like Pete Rock, and they were just like the biggest thing I picked up from that was when you sample, is find a sample with the most stuff in it. That way, like if it has a bass line in it, it got like some stuff in it, then that's less work you got to do. Yeah. So the electronica, that's why, man. I mean, everybody knows about it. So that source, man, like those bass lines, all that is dope, man. So like it does everything I needed to do, and it's all in there. So I just add the snares and the drums, and then like arrange it.
Yeah.
So it's just cool, man.
And so I mentioned to you earlier that I was trying to get more into vinyls to actually, I guess they call it digging, to being able to organically find samples, because nowadays they have services. So I subscribe to like Splice. You can go in and you can get like endless sounds, but then you're sitting there's no like sense of discovery, you know? So you're like, okay, I want this sound, I want it at this BPM, this key, and then you find it and you're like, man, it sounds fine, but it's not special because you didn't
that and the biggest thing about, like, you see a lot of those things on Facebook, it'll be like, we got this guy's drum pack or whatever, and the cool thing is, it's out there, but you got to think when you download it, like 5,000 other people downloaded it too.
Yeah.
So then, like, what's going to differentiate like you from them? And I think for me, one thing I get is I got sample overload, dude. When I first got into MPC, I chopped so many samples back in like 2010 that I still haven't used them to the day. It's 10 years later or whatever, and I still have those samples. And the thing about it, nobody else has used them yet.
Yeah.
So it's like I can kind of like, it's like fine wine, I guess. Yeah. So what I do is I go back like I'll want to sample more stuff. Like, all right, wait a minute. It's like kind of building cars. I got all these projects, but ain't finished, like kind of real life. I got all these cars that are like 50% done. I need to like stop trying to work on all of them and just do one and then pop it out. So like what I'll do is I'll just like I'll put a bookmark there for that one I'm working on, and I'll save it. And then I'll go back at that and sample it. So I've had the only thing about that sucks is with the SoundCloud, which I brought up before, was like I had an issue with like J. Cole. They used one of the tracks that I used, and I was kind of mad about it, but then after I didn't, they copyrighted, I didn't. So it's just guaranteed that somebody. The thing is, I know without a shadow of a doubt somebody heard it, because like I told you guys before, the track that I sampled that's on this track, I don't know if I played it for you before, but I'll show it to you. That track, it's on like a CD of some band in Europe, and it's like one of like 17 albums. It's like the 25th song. It's not like a song that just plays on the radio. So like somebody heard it, and like it happens, man. Like, my buddy got stuff stolen from a long time ago, and the thing about it, it's not really stolen because it was never yours.
Yeah.
On the way you laid it down was yours, but if they got the lawyers and they get the clearing, it's theirs. And that's where that kind of took the wind out of my sails for a little bit, and I stopped doing that. And then around the same time that Seto Corsa stuff happened with MSP, because I know what MSP, between my videos and then with the R Factor, MSP, like, I think it was me, maybe Twan, but I had the most videos of anybody on MSP, so that they put it on the game. So they didn't check with Kawashi son. And I told them about it, but it's like, all right, whatever. They didn't want to do anything, but they didn't get the rights to put that track on there, man, and they got it from us. And I just have an issue. I'm a creator, man, producer in all aspects, and I have an issue with people like kind of taking stuff and whatever. Has it happened to you, or you got any things?
I've never gotten things taken. There's been situations where I haven't gotten credit for doing stuff. I remember, so when I was in high school, this company hit me up about an app they were doing where it was like you can rap into it. So they'll have a library of songs, and then you can rap or sing into it, and then like it'll just output as like a song. And like they're like, "Oh, we like your songs on your SoundCloud. Can we use it?" And me being a dumb kid and just kind of wanting exposure, I was like, "Yeah, you got take whatever you want." Yeah. In hindsight, that's money that I wouldn't have been able to negotiate. They probably would have just said no if I would have been like asking for money. But that was my time and effort, and then they just kind of like I gave it to them, but. In hindsight, I probably should have got some sort of conversation. So it's just stuff like that, It's the battle of trying to get exposure versus trying to get credit for the time that you put in.
Because that's what I emailed the guys over at said. That's why I just can't play it to this day, man. Because the kind of like the principal, I emailed them like multiple times. Like I didn't ask for money once. I was just like, well, I see you guys got the track, but it's not. And they're smart. They actually made it MSP, but if you notice, it's not exact. And I know you played it. It's not exact, and the reason why, because if they make it exact, that means like you copy the actual. So like the pit area, I think, is like off, and then like they've got the thing a little bit longer. So if you do that, like kind of like Pro Street Mate when they put a BCU on it, and it was like a BCU, but it really wasn't. So long as if you don't make it exact, you don't have to get the license, which is there's a loophole. But I was like, hey man, I see your guys' version. I can make it a little bit better. I'm gonna pro drifter here, blah, all this other stuff. No response. I hit him back up like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, you know what? They think I want like $1 million. I'm like, I don't want. It's not my track. It's just that you guys took it from R Factor because it blew up when it hit R Factor.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact was because my guy Yannick who made it, we did it. Most guys don't have when they make a track, they just make it off of videos.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the first game in a track that was made with somebody who's actually there, and I gave him actual. So like he has all the bumps when you go to MSP, he got the bumps, and he has all that stuff in there. So it was that happened there. It is what it is, and the thing about it, like we was talking about technology, it's cool, but at the same time it's bad because people can lift whatever they want to take. Even on SoundCloud, like you can turn off. I just recently turned mine back on because if somebody wants a track they're gonna record it off the sound card, or they could just put it in Google. You could download anything from anywhere now. So only thing I did was put not the best version out there. So if somebody really is serious about it, they're gonna contact.
I think I'm having like a revelation right now. So are you talking about the drift track that's in Assetto Corsa, like the main one? That's because now I'm thinking about the layout in my head.
SMSP.
Yeah, I just thought about that because I remember you mentioned to me earlier, and I thought it was like a mod that someone brought in, but
no, it's actual in the game.
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about like the layout, but in MSP in the Assetto Corsa now, the reason why I didn't pick up on it is because you run it backwards and you come out the pit and you go out the backside first.
They go out that way. So yeah, they did it, and the thing there was no. I mean, who they're really like MSP, like, I mean, come on, dude. I mean, it's a cool track, but think of all the tracks in Japan.
Yeah.
And then most of them don't. The reason why it was a buzz because again, R Factor, those guys who do Assetto Corsa play R Factor.
Mm-hmm.
R Factor was the biggest modding community. R Factor won, and right after we made it, about a month later, it appeared there. And then if you look on the YouTube, like, dude, I mean, I got easily like well over 50 videos. So I mean, as far as exposure, I mean, I'm gonna claim that. Like, I mean, I definitely put MSP out there, and then later on people start putting more videos out there. Japanese, they put them out there, but it's a different algorithm from Japanese YouTube. So unless you put the Japanese characters in, you'll never see MSP. So it just I'm over it now. I got more than enough stuff to do, but it's like you live and learn, and then like for anything like that, like you got to get licensed. And different stuff like that. So I just approach it differently. With my sampling, one thing I got you watch, one of my buddies told me, man, every sample I've ever used, I have the original source.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody wanted to use it or whatever, I save it. What I do is I save it in the original name, the folder,
mm-hmm.
and then I'll put the track I got it from, and then the inside of it, I'll rename it when I'm going to rename it. So yeah.
One issue that I've been running into lately with the music thing is, so I have a couple of friends that do the music thing, and they're like, "Oh, you got any beats? So send them over." So I send them these beats and stuff, and then they end up not getting used.
That never happens. Yeah,
and I'm like, man, that was a good beat, and I don't rap, so it's like I can't find, and it's hard to go out and find artists. Like that's one of my pet peeves is like when I give someone something, then they rap on it or whatever, and it doesn't sound the way I want it to sound. Yeah,
and it's like you kind of have no control on it. Yeah. And I've had a couple went out and they came back, and I was like, that's pretty dope. And then I had like a couple go out and come back. I was like, cool, man. And that was pretty much it, man. So
like one of my friends that I went to high school, his name was Simeon Gillespie. He probably won't mind that because he's doing the music thing too. And whenever I send him something, I know it's gonna come back the way I like it. But I remember I did this kid's whole mixtape. I like mixed it and mastered it and everything. I don't even know what happened to him to this day. But he would send me stuff back, and it just sounded like he just mumbled on the whole. I was like, "Can you slow down? Can you write?" He's like, "No, that's not part of my process."
Another thing that kind of gets me is when I had a few that went out, and they come back and the shit sped up or slowed down, or then they chop. I'm like, dude, you don't know, dude, you don't modify my beat, dude. Then you put in the credits, it was done by me. It's like I didn't do that shit. It wasn't that tempo. You just destroyed the beat. Yeah. But I mean, luckily most of that stuff never went past. It was washed down. SoundCloud people posting every second. So it was washed down, man.
Yeah. And another one of my favorite things is when European people hit me up and then they get my beat and they rap in a different language. I had a couple of dudes from Germany on something.
Yep,
and I was like, whoa. Yeah. I don't know what they're saying.
It's hell Hitler. It's just and everything. It's just crazy how that goes. But the same thing, what I was saying again about the getting the stuff out there. It's kind of like to get it initially to get out there. You do got to do the freebies and the giveaways. So we all think every beat maker does that. Cause like, oh, cool, man, this guy maybe because you don't know the person you're giving it to. They might take it and do something. But my track record so far is that all the beats I've given out, they've done some cool stuff. And they have not. I mean, like, so one guy I work with now is the guy Myron. I remember, I think I showed you some stuff. He's based in California. He does, like, the guitar stuff. And his stuff's pretty dope, man, and everything. So I just use a lot of his music in the videos and everything. He's doing, like, he's in Hollywood. So he's doing he's really doing it, man. So it's pretty cool. As far as the, let's say, like, you want to get in there with the beats and everything. Like, have you done any your music on videos or stuff like that, or?
No, I have a YouTube channel.
Other than mine, I use yours a few times.
Yeah, I think our mutual friend Jared, he's used some of my stuff, and I've had some stuff go out, but I don't even really keep track of it anymore. But I have my own YouTube channel with just the beats on it, but I'm planning on starting doing more. Yeah. Videos of stuff, so yeah, and that stuff I give out, but usually that stuff is just to friends and people that I actually know. Yeah, and I'm not trying to get any like kickbacks. Yeah. It's just I have all this music sitting around. It's like, you need something, I got you.
It's definitely a cool thing to be able to do, man. Like, the more you can do, like, it's just for the business aspect of everything, the music, the video, audio. Like, if I didn't know how to do any of this stuff, then I have to hire somebody, and like I can do all this stuff myself. Yeah. And it seems like cumbersome to a lot of people, but most people, like, I mean, you see the sound cards and stuff like that. The equipment is all basic stuff, and I already had it. So pretty much just to get all this started, the only thing I really bought is the lights, the mics, and I bought this little desk right here. Everything else I had already. Yeah. I had all these other cables and sound cards and stuff like that just to get everything started. So it doesn't take much to get started. And you already have most of what you need to get all that stuff started, man. Yeah. So I'm just moving along a little bit because we kind of beat the music up. I know you do gaming. So as far as like gaming, like when did you get started in that? And like what is your preferred genre and stuff like that?
So I got my Xbox, the original Xbox, when I was 6 for my 6th birthday. And the first game I ever got was...
I really feel old now, man, dude.
I got Project Gotham Racing. I don't know if you know that one. That will always go down in history as like one of my favorite games. And of course, the racing game genre is what I stick with. I've done the shooter thing, but the older I get, like the less and less I even really care to like play like shooting games. I play the big ones, but I just do sim racing now, really. Yeah. And like that's a good way to get some skills up and get your, get your seat time up while your car's in the shop.
No, it definitely works, man. Because I did what was it? I got R Factor, then I never drove a Nico. I did my first pro event in Nico circuit, and I just drove like because I was like, man, I've never been there. There's a spot in MSP that you can emulate on the back corner. They'll do that to emulate the because it's a long drag, but it's kind of Nico's inner, and then it's like flat, and then it curves around, so you're drifting on a flat surface. Have you ever seen the videos? So I used R Factor, man. I was there like in between building the car, I was doing that to play, and I actually ended up. I think it was maybe 45 or 50 cars or something like that. It was a weird number of cars entered, and I got top 16. Never drove there before, but I mean, not the game helped, but I mean, mostly it's just the skills acquired. Yeah. And my car happened, like a lot of cars broke, man. My car happened to stay together, and I made it to top 16. So I mean, the gaming, man, it helps a lot. Tsukuba recently, I know you've seen that video. Mm-hmm. Never went there before. Drove it. I mean, thousands of laps from there, man. That's probably an understatement of the amount of laps I've done on Tsukuba. So I knew the track, and actually it was not the from the GT Sport. It actually was not far off, man. The timing and everything is the same. Normally you go to first, second, third, and then like you on a back straight and you downshift. So like I knew from that where to go, the apex and clipping. Yeah, same as the game. And with that Subaru, and I think I got it was like 70 something cars there or whatever. And I think mine was like 53rd fastest, which it's pretty cool because that car is only $900 too. Mm-hmm. And 53rd fastest, meaning my time was like what the hell was my time? It was like 111, something like that. But it was like 111. So it was like 10 cars at 111, then 111.123.25, and then before that was like 110, and then like another car. So they were all like tight. And then there was like 108 and then 105, and then one guy was like 59 seconds. It was a Subaru, so it was like he was way at the top. Like he was like but his car was a different. All those cars were mostly daily driven cars, while his car was just a street. He was just doing something else, and he's entering an event. His car is way faster. So the technology, man, it works out pretty good.
So a lot of the older guys, you talk to them and you tell them that, I learned my driving skills from sim racing or whatever, and they kind of discredit that. Yeah. And there is some truth to that. There's a lot of things that you can't learn from the sim racing. Yeah, the physics, the feeling of actually being on the track. Yeah. But your clipping points, your braking timing, your reaction times, like all that stuff that translates right over. And then like you can learn racecraft from doing it too. Like I've been doing I was going to do the most recent, the FIA series things that they have in GT Sports. Yeah, but
this is the timing, man.
Yeah, and I did iRacing. I don't know if you know iRacing. I did iRacing, and they're like really serious about that.
They'll ban you, and you got iRacing is kind of is it a monthly fee or yearly fee?
It's you could do yearly, but I was doing month by month. But the only thing is you got to pay for every car. So it's like whatever series you want to do, you have to buy that car.
Yeah, for that, man, you get some guys. I'm like, and that's where you draw the line, because it's like, man, dudes get so serious about that and spend so much money. Like, dude, you can buy a Civic and go do autocross. Like, oh nah, man, like, dude, because you can. It's affordable now. And the track days are out there. There's more venues, SCCA, NASA. Like I said before, you can do all that stuff. So that excuse, man, that you can't afford it anymore, it's kind of like a lame one. There's more options out there. But yeah, that's why I respect it, and I got guys that actually race professionally in other organizations to get some that. Jesse Iwuji's a NASCAR guy, and like NASCAR guy busy as hell, and he still does iRacing, and he does it because they actually it's simulated seat time, so you still gotta concentrate and all that stuff. So you'll see he posts up about this stuff a lot.
Yeah, I guess the main thing is the consistency that you learn, and it's harder to be consistent doing the sim racing because you don't have all the inputs. Right. So all you have is your brake pedal and whatever vibration you got through the base.
Also the actual real danger of dying and stuff like that is not there. So like it's like, all right, whatever I crash, I'll just turn it off or whatever. Yeah. Or you get penalized for not finishing a race.
Yeah, penalized, bumping other people. Like they're starting to get a lot better with the online thing. I was like, okay, we have like a bunch of crazy people in here just in here not taking it seriously, but then there are people taking it seriously. Yeah. So
for iRacing, from what I hear, is this like, I mean, you'll find that in Forza GT, because even with the GT system, they initiated the penalties. You still got guys out there like they just want to win. Yeah. At all costs, so they'll ram you. Then the cool thing now is that GT, you ram people. You gotta. Well, now I think because I haven't really played it, so you get the penalty, but so you have to slow down.
Yeah, it'll automatically slow you down once you get on like a straight. Yeah.
Or you'll just keep. Well, I don't. The old one, they would slow you down automatically. Now they kind of give you the option, so at the end. Yeah, you'll get bumped down anyway.
So well, it depends on where you're at on the track. Yeah. If you're in the middle of a lap, it'll slow you down the next time you hit the straight. If it's like the last lap, it'll just add it to your time, and then.
So pretty much you will win or lose. I mean, if you got a significant lead, but so I can understand. Like sometimes if you get like a 5 second, it's like, man, I already know I'm way ahead of these guys, so I'll take that and finish. But I as much as I love GT and everything, man, I haven't really probably played in 4 months, man. I just been consumed with the shop and all that stuff, man. And it's like one of those things you can't, because when you touch it, it's never going to be 5 minutes.
Yeah. I finally got my setup running again. So I sold my old setup. I sold it to you.
We bought it on that.
And, I was like itching because I was doing the RC drift thing. Yeah. And then I sold that. So I was like, I need something because, you have these cars with – They're always like getting worked on. Yeah. So I needed something. So I started building it back up again. And it's not super expensive to get into. But and now then I got GT Sport up and running, and I just been hitting that like a crackhead. But now I'm PCSing, so just sitting in my hotel room staring at the wall.
Yes, for that one I got to get for whatever reason the PC will work, but for the PlayStation the shifter. So I think there's a model after that one. You got to plug it into the directly into the wheel. Then that one USB goes into there. And
so the one I have is this exact one, and you plug it directly from the shifter into the PS4.
That's what I mean. For on a shifter, whatever it is, it doesn't have like the link or something. It was saying it got to go from the shifter to the which one I can't do it. Yeah. So I'll fix that eventually. But everybody that comes here, I used to run it, but I broke the last PS4 because it was sucking in all that dust from the shop. So I really don't. When people come here, unless they ask to play it, I don't turn it on.
Yeah, I see you got the timing board over there.
That was man. I put that up for. I had to meet when I first opened, and that I was going to do it, man. But then I was like, I got too much stuff to do, and maybe once the shop gets into a different I'm still like it was 3 years, but it's still in that opening. I got a lot of shit to do, man. Yeah. So like I can't really like chill or relax right now. And like I can't. It's just the way I operate, man. I can't be sitting back, chilling, having fun. And I know I got this engine to build, this car to get ready. I got all this stuff to do. So when all that stuff is like caught up, or when I get to a point where I'm not, because honestly, there's no secret, man. Like pretty much the way I work here is currently is like job. It's when I say job to job, it is. It's job to job. It's pretty much the job I complete. That money is going straight from the customer to me to pay rent, or so it's never like it's never going at this point from me to the bank and it's chilling there. It's not that level right now because it's just like, I know you asked some stuff about business before, man. So
yeah. So I have 3 years left in the military, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and then I started thinking about the skills that I have. Like I'm not going back to college. Like I don't want to spend money on that. I don't.
Yeah, it's a trap.
Yeah. And everybody's like, oh well, you're in, you better get it. I was like, so I took 2 classes, and I was like, I passed the classes, but I didn't learn anything. Yeah. Nothing that I can actually use. But the skills that I have, I've done a lot of like painting stuff and like coding stuff. I recently got the powder coating kit and trying to learn how to do that. And I was like, man, I want to do that. Like powder coating, which was actually fun for me to do. And like, it's fairly easy. It's just mostly setup issues and prep. Prep is always the hardest part of anything. But I just was wondering, like, everybody's like, okay, you got to take the first step, but what actually is the first step if you're gonna like, okay, I want to actually start charging people? Yeah,
the first step, man, is definitely before you do anything going into business, is that you got to get a plan. Either if you think about it, and that's what in my head I had everything thought out, but then I was like, well, one guy is like, well, you got to write everything down, because when you go to present a business plan, if you got to present it, because you don't always have to do it, you got to show them like. You gotta do your homework on the local area. So what I did before I started the shop, I was like, I found out like how much is the average rent, how much is this average thing, depending on if you're gonna have a storefront or not. So if you're gonna have a storefront online, then you just do it out of your house or whatever. You don't have to have, or you got to rent like a little place. But if you plan on having some place where customers are gonna come into, then you got to factor in electricity, gas, power, all that stuff. So. For example, when I do my invoices, like it's not just the labor is one thing, but then also for that time, if I know your car's going to be in here for 8 hours, I got to also calculate I'm going to use this much power. So I don't charge like one customer for my whole rent for my whole month. It's just whatever I pay for the average, I got to break that down 8 hours. And it's like the actual math that matters, like averaging out, dividing. I'm seeing how much everything is. So you got to have a plan. So pretty much, how much is it going to cost to run it for like this month? Then in 1 month translates to 12 months. Then what's your 3-year plan, the 5-year plan, and stuff like that, because people want to see that where you're projecting it's going to be at. But if you just want to do it like a side thing, you don't have to go into all that stuff. But for the most part, man, the biggest thing you got to see is why I stayed in Masawa and why instead of versus going to like Tokyo, where everybody's like go to Tokyo. Dude, I'm confident in what I do, very confident in the work I do. But I know if I would have took this thing and tried to go to Tokyo, I would have been out of business inside 6 months, because you got all these shops, you got Top Secret, you got in the Tokyo Kansai area, you got all these big name shops, Origami Top Secret, Naprick, all these different guys. They're gonna go to those guys because those guys have actually put out championship level cars. Yeah, I got my own cars, but people really don't. Of course, they're like, of course he's going to build his car, good. But what he's going to do for customers, so that's why I stayed here. So you got to pick your target area where you're going to go to, who you're going to be selling to. So if you're looking at powder coating, and there's 5 other dudes in that same radius that are doing powder coating. One guy's been there for 5 years, and he's the top guy. And you got another guy that's kind of gets to fall out when he's busy. Then when he's busy, so it kind of trickles down. So like I know, like in this area, you got I think Wichicom has started up the Balzano had the stuff, and then he sold it to over at Rob. So now he's the guy, because there was nobody doing that. There was some guys doing it, but they kind of didn't really do it. Yeah. So he kind of got in and capitalized on that. So you got to find like the niche.
Yeah.
Same thing, like I said before, and it's no secret is when I first came here, I asked him like, hey man, like you don't do performance. And he's like, oh well, it's not this and it's not that. What it comes down to is what you do, and I know what I do. I do not like working on regular cars because one thing, regular car people, they just want it to run enough just to get where they got to go.
Yeah.
Sports car guys really actually care about what how it performs. They're into it, so they invested into it, so they're gonna pay. I wouldn't. If I dealt with regular cars, I would have shut down like 2 years ago, and I couldn't deal with the people, man.
Mm-hmm.
So even within this industry, you still got some guys who do want to get around. I mean, you put out a lot of money in your car, and the thing about it, which really sucks about us, what we do and the mods and stuff like that, it's no matter how much you pay for it, like stuff is still gonna mechanically break down.
Yeah.
And then from that point, you gotta like redo it. And some guys they'll keep going, and then some guys they'll just like I'm gonna go back and drive regular cars, and then they come back. Always see them come back, man.
Yeah.
You can never once you get into it, there's no. I've heard it so many times in my 22, 21 years. I'm like, oh, I'm done. It's like, all right, cool, yeah, whatever. And then I'll screenshot that if it's a good buddy, and then he'll come back 2 years later, and I'll post a screenshot. Like, I thought you were done, man. Like, oh, well, I got this S13 and I got this stuff, man. So, but kind of going back to what you were asking for the business stuff, pretty much your plan, put out what you want to do. You got to study the area. So I studied this area for like almost 2.5 years. And I was like, well, ain't nothing happening. I was doing work out of my house, so I knew there was a need for it. And the timing, also the 25-year thing, man, the timing, I knew that was coming up. So you got to do the foresight, man. I knew that was coming up. I knew it was going to be a surge of that. And also with the shipping stuff, I projected that too, which is why, I don't know if you noticed, but I had the truck already here before that happened. So I knew it was going to, I'm like, dude, I think I had my inside guys, and he was like, dude, they might be coming down. And then so I got the truck up here for my guy, and then bam, it happened, and it just blew up. It was a nice little run. I mean, I wasn't making a ton of cash, but it was a nice little bit of supplemental cash to supplement like the car parts and the car work. So you gotta think like how it's gonna be in the next 5 years. So that can whatever happened, whoever messed up the Pentagon, it could happen again. And what it came down to is that was when I seen what you're gonna talk about the wall. The shipping stuff and stuff like that, even PCSing is like it's not a necessity, man. They can say, well, everybody stop, and you stay where you are. So like how the government's gonna go. So the PCSing is even like a nicety career progression, all that crap they want to kick. But each PCS costs like roughly 12. Well, PCSing alone is almost 12K. Then you add on the car, which is like 10K. So that's why they were like, we got to save some money. And then that 2 months. Even if that 2 months they took off, that's a good amount of money, man. So I shipped roughly 25 cars. So imagine like 10K per 20 times 25. Mm-hmm. That's a good amount of money to save.
Yeah. So for me, going back to the business thing specifically, I'm still in the phase of like perfecting the craft and learning the craft, learning everything there is to know. But I definitely see myself kind of opening the doors to my own thing because I don't like working for other people. Yeah. And I don't want to be accountable. I want to be accountable to myself and self-sufficient. Yeah. So, and even if that powder coating thing doesn't work out, like I mentioned earlier, I got the engineering skills from the music, the stuff that I actually do at work. Like, I don't see any need for me to have to, like, well, I will have to get a job, but I don't see any need for me to,
you know what you're saying, man. That's actually, I don't get too many people in here that think like that. And I'm definitely all for doing your own thing, man. Again, of course, you see I'm here. You work for yourself. So the thing about it, man, like it was different. Like when I was in the military, you had to get up at 4 or 5 a.m. or whatever to do somebody else. I mean, you had a mission to do, but in the grand scheme of things, you're doing a mission to get paid. Mm-hmm. So like, and that's the biggest thing, man. For doing this is like if you get up on your own, it's different getting up on your own for your own thing. And you'll see, man, when I'll be in here. A lot of times I get this thing, people are like, oh, you never hear. I'm like, dude, I'm here at 4, 3 in the morning doing my work. And then so by the time the person wakes up, I've already done 6, 7 hours of work. So I'm reservation based, so I'm not really on anybody's schedule. So when we got a schedule reserve, then we have business. Other than that, we don't have any business. So like Burger King, you go to Burger King, they're open from 9 to 1700. So that's when you get service there. So of course, somebody's going to be there all the time to sell you a hamburger. But here, I got the reservation. I do what I got to do. I'll say it'll be done on this date. So in between that, like, I mean, random guys come in, like, it's just not like that. So that's the only flack I get from some guys. Well, I hear, they don't say it to me. It's like, oh, he's never there. I'm like, dude, I'm here. And then I'll be here it's been days where I've been here 2 days straight, like 2 days straight. And then when that guy comes to want to do something, which it's not going to happen because I don't do on the spot. Oh, man, I stopped by. I'm like, well, did you call a message? Like, no. And I know sometimes we had the situation is like, so you know my system. And some people, they'll go like that. But, I mean, if I wasn't here, how would I stay open? I'm not selling drugs. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely getting work done, man, whether I'm in Yokohama or I'm over here in Miyazaki or whatever, picking up parts or whatever, man. So
yeah, when I first got here and I first started dealing with you, you know, you have to learn that for you, it's business first. It's not like friend buddy games and money talk. So, you know, you have to make that line. Yeah, and like, you gotta, once you establish that, and it's like it's respected, it's cool. It's just a lot of people I see on Facebook. I see a lot of buddies who start business, but they do I did it before. That's why I said I had the timesheet because I had a car meet here, and that I was just my Iraq skills and analyzing people and watching people. It's just something I'll never forget. So like everybody was here, like, you know, playing a game, but there was a few spies that got sent here by a guy I'm not going to mention, and I was like, dude, like they were like checking the locks and stuff and they weren't. It was pizza here, gaming here, drinks. And they're like looking at the windows. I'm like, dude, I walk over to him. Like, I didn't embarrass him. I was like, hey, man, what's up? He's like, oh, no, it's cool. And then like 2 seconds later, he got in their cars and pulled off. So like, I was like, nah, man, I can't have the people you have around you and stuff like that, like customers. I like to have my customers here, and we do that and we leave. Because if you like, you know, if you have like a bunch of hooligans here, then somebody walks in and really wants to do something, they're gonna be like, honestly, they might not like one of those people that's here. Or they might be intimidated by a bunch of people. So that's money right there, man. So you got to separate like the that's where a lot of young guys, man, they want to be buddies and have all this stuff. And you got to realize, man, this is real. Like I'm paying taxes. I'm paying like, you know, that's a lot of stuff, man. Like, I mean, it's no secret or what. I mean, I pay about overhead wise to at a minimum, at least 5 to 6K a month to run this, man. So that's so I got to make over that to make a profit, which it honestly hasn't been happening. I'm keeping it real, man. Like it's been like, you know, you gotta keep it open, and you gotta make the least amount of losses. You're gonna lose. I'll scratch a couple cars, like, you know, things happen, something fall over or whatever, and I gotta paint it. And so that was like, you know, so far as the other customer cars, I'm probably in maybe about like from fixing stuff that wasn't there when they came in, maybe like $600, and that's in 3 years. That I mean, in 3 years, that's pretty. I mean, if you go to most shops, you see the videos of dudes shit falling up the lift. Yeah, that happens when you rushed, you train, and you trying to get all that stuff out. That's when that stuff happens. Yeah. So I don't rush anything. I don't. If somebody's like, oh man, I have a few guys. Like, I had a car in here, and a guy hit me up, and I told him it was gonna be done on this day. He's like, hey, man, I'm just checking on. I'm like, I kind of hate that. He's like, I'm checking on the car because they got to be at port tomorrow. I'm like, what? So I didn't, and that was a learning process. I never asked that question. So now when I check in the car, for somebody I don't know, like, are you PCSing in like the next 2 weeks, or are you going TDY or whatever? Because if I have the information late, then I'm not going to rush. I can't rush what I'm doing, because that's going to be that's just not going to happen, because you're going to get a product that you don't want. I'm going to have a product out there that I don't want to put out there. And it's just not gonna, and I'm still gonna collect the money. It's just not gonna be good, man. So you just got the business thing, man. Overall, you just gotta minimize losses, and then you gotta have a solid plan going in, but you gotta kind of modify it. So one thing I didn't do in the first 4 months, I didn't do reservations. So I figured, man, everybody's military, word them off, blah. Nah, dude, that did not work, because I had dudes just straight up didn't show up. And I'm here like waiting. I got the shop set up for what I'm gonna do, and then I'm like, you know what, man? And it wasn't anything, an anger thing. I'm like, look, man, from this point on, if you know I don't know you, well, if you don't have a certain amount of work done here, there's gonna be reservation. Like, I mean, you're in a bracket, honestly, where I know, like, when you're gonna be here, and a few guys like that. But some guys that I don't know, I'm like, yeah, you gotta put the reservation down, because it makes them come and everything. And then also it blocks up the space for the next customer. So from your aspect, I would say, like, if you're going to do it, it's going to have to be case to case. So you gotta develop a system
to make sure like guys, if a guy is gonna if you're gonna get his wheels done, for example, we hit him up. He'll say, I'm gonna bring the wheels on May 15th or 16th. That way you tell him to bring. Well, you telling him to bring them there, so he'll know by the 14th he needs to have his wheels off his car and another set. Not on the 15th. Oh man, I gotta find a set of wheels and I've had stuff like that happen, and I'm like, nah, man, you gotta do that like before. So it works. It lets the customer balance their timeline. It lets you balance, so that way everybody's shocked about, man, how you do this with one guy is because it's all set, man.
Yeah. I don't. One of my things that bug me is that when people don't respect other people's time. So like I had recently just sold a car. And I had a guy. I was like, "Yeah, we gotta go drop it off this day."
Yeah.
And he showed up at my house. I was like, and he was dealing with the shop. He wasn't dealing with me.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You need to bring these wheels. You need to do all this stuff." He shows up at my house today. We got to drop the car off with another set of wheels that were Subaru wheels. I'm selling him a Toyota.
Yeah.
And I was like, we can't use this. What?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, we could throw the wheels off my GTR on there, but they're too wide. So I was like, man, you really should have did all this.
Yeah, man. That's definitely I mean, again, like the thing we were talking about, we kind of been ourselves through some of that stuff, and there's some of the times, man, I got the one guy thing again, even with the reservation thing, but there's times, man, I got an email going on here, a call going, I got a meeting at this time. So like there's times where you kind of do get you get wrapped up in it and it's like, oh man, I didn't see this. So that's one. I mean, again, you never stop like learning. Yeah. And it's just like everybody's different, man. Visual audio, you got visual learners, auditory learners, and stuff like that. So everybody takes instructions a little bit different. So I just make sure that the email. The reason I do email because everybody reads. And the email works because it's just the phone calls is one thing. Email, you can kind of go back and read. Well, bring this, bring that, whatever, and everything. So and again, the situation with the head studs, that was just like we were talking about a bunch of stuff, and then what I mentioned was like if they were the stock ones, we couldn't reuse them. Yeah. But since they were there, and it's just maybe I was talking fast, or we talk normally when you come here, man, we talk about so much stuff, and that happened before. I had it before where a customer come and pay like $3,000, and we talked, and I showed him the car, and he left, and he didn't pay, and I was like, oh man, and he was like, and he looked in his pocket at the same time I called him. He's like, oh, I didn't pay, man. He's like, I was like, yeah, that's cool, man. We were just like talking about the car because it was a big job. Yeah, it was like some stuff. So like when you come here, I don't just like collect cash and leave. I always show you the pictures, show you what happened and stuff like that, give you the breakdown or any you got to break it in and stuff like that, because most respectable shops going to do that. But there are guys that once they take your cash, man, he's like, all right, whatever, next guy, and that's not a
The main reason why I keep coming back to you specifically, for one, we don't really have that many choices. Yeah, so you have to look at what you have, and you're like, okay, so who's the person that when I know that I'm dealing with them, I know that they're not just trying to bullshit me and get me out the door. And that's like the main thing. I was like, that's why I always tell people, I was like, you go to Pinku style, you look at the price he gives you, and then now I think people understand it more based on what you said. The price he gives you is like there's no room for like negotiation on that type of stuff. That's what he needs to make to get your job done satisfactory.
And pretty much on that, man, is like just like I don't do the what is it? I call it like the GTR tax or whatever tax. Mm-hmm. Like for example, if you're doing I kind of bring it up and cut you up, but you'll do like a Civic, and if you take a Civic to a shop in Japan, and you did like a Civic's front wheel drive, so say you take a Civic there, right? Mm-hmm. EG, whatever, regular Civic. You take it to a shop, it's going to be this much for a clutch job. You take a Type R, DC5, DC2, because it's a Type R, it's going to be the same process, same take the axles out, same drop to have paint in the ass, same process for front wheel drive engine, because this is EG Civic, non-SIR. That's going to cost like almost $600 more than the Type R, because it's a Type R. So the Japanese do that. They'll run it up like that, and also in the way the Japanese work, which is why I've had 5 Japanese customers in 3 years. I know because it's so little. And the first thing is one thing they get thrown off about is I tell them the parts you got to pay up front for that, because the parts got to be paid for anyway, and I can't even if I had a huge window, it's like people you'll buy parts and then they'll be like, I don't want to do that. Then now you got $4,000 for parts sitting there. For me, that just it locks the person in, and also it also prevents like the amount of if I say something costs $600, it actually costs $300. Like you can see, I'll show the guy like it's the link right here. So like you're paying exactly the amount. Or like I say, you've done it before. If it's something that you order from outside Japan, there's no reason to pay me to pay them when you can just go from your bank account to their bank account and it comes in. It's just some people are like, man, why I'm like, dude, because if you know on that site they'll tell you how much it's going to cost in Jiku, raw brokerage, and then you pay them. There's no middleman. And then some people once they're like, oh, well, I understand now. But unless it's a part that I'm ordering from a dealer where I get a price on it, then I'll go through it and get that and everything. But I just try to make it as clear as possible because in this game, man, it's just a known thing. People get taken. So when guys come here, I get guys like, again, I mentioned about the R34 guy. They just already defensive. Yeah. And I've had people I've had to, within the first 5 minutes, like, look, man, I'm sorry about what happened. The last guy, but that's not me. I'm not trying to BS anybody. And the thing about work, man, is eventually, if you tell some guy that it has like Tomei cams or Tomei whatever in it, eventually at some point somebody's going to take that apart or they're going to sell it. And then eventually, hey, man, the engine you sold me, it had regular cams in it. And this guy said he put Tomei cams in it. So, like, eventually your work's going to come to light, man. So that stops me. I would never do it, but that's one thing that keeps me straight and everything, and make sure stuff is good because somebody's gonna see it at some point, man. Yeah. So it's too easy. It's easy to stay straight, but it's really hard to like get your way out of once you start lying, man. You got to keep lying. Yeah. You got to keep lying.
It's not even so we'll get into the story of my GTR. So it had an issue. And then I got it back from you, and I was like, man, I don't know what it could be. You had your suspicions about what it could be, but I didn't want to accept it because I was like, this is an expensive car. And I can't afford to do what he's saying. So I took it to a Japanese shop, and the guy was like, I think just the turbos are blown. And
it was the first before before you rebuilt it the first time? Yeah.
So I get these turbos and I go to the shop and we put it on, and I thought it was cool that he was helping me put it on. In hindsight, I was like, man, he should have put that shit on and I should have got that back. Yeah. But I got my first little experience of taking the car apart. Then I pay the guy, I get the car back to the house, same issue. And he didn't mention, there's no way he wouldn't not have known that there was something else wrong. So like he turned the car on and it's sitting there idling. I go back to the shop and it's idling fine and everything, how we got it to idle, but it's still like leaking a ton of oil. Didn't know what was going on. And so it was sitting at my shop, and then I remember I brought it to you for something, for the hoses.
Yeah, actually, no, to like going before all that, man, like your car had a situation where I have it in place, but there was a situation where like when I did, I did a compression check or something like that. I was doing a check, and then as I was starting it up, that's when the loud like snap and pop happened. Then after I took it apart, I realized like somebody's been there before. Something was like off, man. So like it actually jumped timing. And from that point, it had like, valve that remember we took the head off and they had all that stuff done. Yeah. It was the thing about it, man. You take all the spark plugs, you look in the cars, like you can go back and do forensic science, and you can see that at this point it was revved up, and then like you're at 360 degrees, like it was. Yeah, there was blown turbo on that before those turbos that came on there. There was a blown turbo on there. At some point, they got debris in there. So it's like once we seen it out, and like I said, I broke everything down to you. You seen everything. It was like, you can say one thing, but then when you see it, it's like, it's like. Well,
like you called it right off the bat. That's why so I took it to the other shop, and it had the same starting issue, which was you identified as a low compression issue, but they never said anything. He was like, oh, turn the fuel pressure regulator up, and then
you can hear you can hear it when you start it. It's a faint like it's not. It sounds like. When you start an RB, it's like a direct sound, but when you start it, and it's like that faint, like it just sounds weak. Yeah, and that's what I mean. I was like, I remember when you first bought it here, and I think you turned it off, and then I went to go start it, and I was like, dude, you had already left, and I went to go start it, and it was like 6 cranks. I'm like, man, it's supposed to start by now, man. Yeah. I was like, that's even before the test, and then I got the compression numbers and the thing. I mean, I'm not a wizard. It's just I've done enough of it. I've seen enough. The cars are all the same. They got a little bit of personalities. Like all the GTRs I dealt with, one GTR in particular, man. Like I did his engine build and everything, man. And I told him what it was, and he just kind of. I'm like, dude, your engine is great now. Compression is great because you had electrical issues of wiring. So his actual inside of his body harness somewhere, depending on where he got that from, I know he has corrosion. So it'll run right, and then it'll go sporadic and everything. I'm like, dude, something's in your wiring and everything. So you gotta everything has to play. Like if you got the car, for example, from Fukuoka, they have a lot of like Okinawa. They got a lot of salt and stuff down there, so the wires corrode. So if your body harness is like not good and your fuse panel is not good, then that's going to translate into the ECU. You're not getting 5 volts. You're getting 3.5 volts versus 5 volts. That'll change everything, man. So like that's where everybody car is not different. And one thing I stopped saying was, that never happened before, because that's like and it never really happened before. But people see that as like, it's a cop out or BS. So every car I treat different. Every car is inspected different. I don't assume anything. So when I do I know what I'm going to see for the 25-year-old car, but you also got to you present the data for your car only, not anybody else's car. So, yeah.
So after all that happened, then we got the thing rebuilt. Yeah. And I had like a glorious year of like driving this forged RB26, but I'm still modding it. Yeah. And then, I got it painted and I sat down for paint, and then it blew again. I
think that's when the paint, it was all right, because I remember I always kind of check in. Like when I do big jobs like that, I always check in. And the reason why, man, is because like, I know you took it out in the snow, you drove it, we did like anything that's going to like would happen mechanically. If something like that, I tell guys too, like don't say like to scare people. I'm like, dude, if anything's gonna go wrong, it's gonna happen within the first hour. Like that's just how it works, man. Like if anything mechanical like that, it's so much going on. You got the pistons going up and down, the valves going up. If anything's out of balance, out of spec, within an hour, it's gonna come undone, and then you'll have it. Because why I know, because I've done it personally. When I built my first engines, I didn't have the tools I had. I built it in the backyard, and I didn't check the clearances well enough, and the actual crankshaft was out of the crankshaft was out. It's called out of round. Yeah. So I didn't know to check for that. So pretty much instead of being in a round shape, it was egg shape. So that it destroyed the bearing, and I've spent all that time, man, and like I run it, and then I run it, then I took it to MSP, and it just started. And MSP, I did like a couple laps, and then it fucking all that work, man. Yeah. So it's like I'm like sitting in the car, like, dude, like seriously, man, like, and then it happens, man. Like, so like when it happens, I've blown engines, I've done all this stuff, man. So I definitely am sympathetic, but it's like, and I know you were like doing the mods too in conjunction. So it's not, it's not a knock against you. And I know I was actually, man, it was weird, dude, when you posted that, because I was when you I think you hit me up. I was going down to Yokohama with a load of cars. So it was like, I'm listening to the music or whatever, and then I got a message. I was like, fuck, man. It like, I was like, dude, because I take it personal, man, because it's like, what happened. Then I'm thinking in my head what happened. Then I kind of remembered. I remembered before paint, you were like, you said it was running a little bit rich. Yeah, and I was like, man, for a new engine. That's why Quan car, he's driving it now. But I shut him down, and I'm like, dude, if it ain't right, man, like, and I've done stuff like, it's cool. I'll push it, and then the next thing you know, a Raj come out the block. And so he shut his down, kind of getting off the topic. Then I checked it. He had his cam caps, there's 7 of them, and 4 of them were installed backwards. So the camshaft was being pulled like this. So in that aspect, it ruined all of the buckets. So he had to replace all those. Now it's all good. So if he would have drove it another 2 miles, the camshaft would have snapped in half. Engine destroyed.
Yeah, and you said the same thing to me. If I would have, because I was like right down the street from my house when
if you would have put it, would have actually, from the inspection I done, it was already, one bearing was they were already sandwiched. So they supposed to stay. So when it stays together like this, so when one of them gets too thin, it gets slipped under the other one. So the 2, when I showed you, it was slipped under there, and then like number 6 was like all off. So like, to me, an engine back in the day, I would call the engine blown when you hear rods, but the engine's not blown unless if it's not a hole in the block or a big crack, then it's good to go. So you can actually, it's still rebuildable. It's not like a total waste, but like you say, we got into the situation where it's like, all right, let's just use this one. I mean, that one's the bearings, they're broken in, but they're not, they're still good to go. Yeah. So that was a good find on that engine, and it just happened to work out and everything. So it's just good. Yeah. And I kind of, even before you said it, I was going to actually, I didn't want to, like, one thing is I don't push, I'll suggest things, but I don't, push anybody to do anything or make somebody pressure to do. I was like, man, if I was in this situation, this is what I would do. And then you hit me up like, hey man, it's like, yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's cool, and you'll still get everything done.
Yeah.
It's just the biggest thing, and it wasn't when you posted up. The thing is, I know we know each other, and we're getting to know each other and work together. But the guys, there's a bunch of dudes here, man. They're number one jealous of what you did, you Quan and Josh and all those guys that put the real money into the cars, and they're like quick. They just sit around and like they see your bill and they're like, yeah, cool. And they just waiting for something to happen, man. So it's people like that. And then on my aspect, there's people here that I talk straight up to, and I'm like, yeah, I'm whatever. Just how it's gonna be done here. So they just waiting for that one post where, hey man, the shop's closed. I couldn't do it. It's not gonna happen, man. Like, I mean, I built a network and a safety net where if I needed something done like that, the shop will remain open, and then I got enough stuff going on, and also that's what I mean, like the business stuff, the networks, man. So I'm very self-sufficient, very I could do my own thing, but you gotta have those people that can float you or whatever and do stuff like that. So in a nutshell, man, it's kind of the whole business aspect and what I can give to the customers come from like the relationships I built and doing things. Because if I didn't know like a lot of people, it would actually be a lot more expensive to do some of the things I do, some of the parts I do, some of the parts I get as quickly as I do and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it works out.
When you got my engine block in here, you're like, yeah, I just called them. Yeah. It's coming here today.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, man.
Yeah, because they weren't. Yeah, because I was like, dude, because I didn't want the thing to go from like, because I already charge you what I charge you for that, and I didn't want that to charge more to go to, because what'll happen, they'll go to Tawada, and then they'll try delivery once, then they'll take it to Tawada, and then you gotta go there, and it's not far, but it's still time.
Yeah.
So they were like, when you gave me the tracking number, that's why I asked you. I hit them up. And I was like, hey, man, well, like, where is it at? He's like, oh, actually, it's here, but it wasn't going to come to Saturday. I was like, nah, dude, I need it today. And, I didn't say it in that. I was like, well, could you bring it or whatever? He's like, yeah, we'll bring it. And I got it before I went to, I was going on Yokohama again, man. So it's just, again, it's just the networking and all my drivers I know and stuff like that. I give them stuff like that, man. So you got to not grease. Oh, yeah, it's pretty much greasing palms, man. Like, when you take something to the engine shop, I take them like a case of beer or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they just, they look out for it. And then also what they do is like they'll put your work, because when I hit them up about your block, just to resurface, he's like, yeah, we got this, and this, but we'll put your engine here. And this was like Golden Week and all that stuff going on and all that stuff. So if it wasn't for that relationship, honestly, I wouldn't have got from what he told me about his workload, I wouldn't have got the engine back to like the end of the month. Mm-hmm. So like, it sucks to be like that, but it's how it is.
I just want to say real quick about what you're saying earlier about how much money like goes into these cars. Dude. I have people I have a lot of coworkers that they see the car that I drive and they're like, why you spend a ton of money on that. Look, for one, I was lucky to get my car when I did because I didn't pay like almost $30,000 for my car. Yeah, probably that much now, but I pay like $15,000 for my car. But another thing is like that car and like my wife are like my two things. That's it. Yeah, that's all I spend money on. Yeah. And people are like, oh, say, was there all your money going? I was like, you see it out there?
So it's tangible, man. It's like, and then the same cats, not knocking them because everybody does their thing. Those same dudes that asking you will be the same dudes spending $500 a week every weekend down at bar or whatever, just drinking. So like I told dudes, you're just making expensive piss. Yeah. Like you don't, and then maybe you had a cool night, but it's like after that night's gone. You have to do it again to relive that, and they don't have anything. Or again, everybody got their different things, man. But you got dudes who buy like expensive clothes, expensive shoes, and God forbid, you got the guys who are just spending $1,000 a week on drugs. So like the car stuff, man, like I had to catch myself, man, because they'd be like, man, I'll be like, oh, man, I want to get this kid. I want to do that. And I still, people don't believe, man. But and even still at this point, I'm waiting on parts to do my LS, the 1UZ swap. Mm-hmm. And I just got hit up by the guys. They're going to send it back and everything. So I'm still waiting for parts. I'm still, why I'm running a business, I'm still an enthusiast. So outside of getting the product out there to keep the doors open, I want to get cars out here so I can work on my own cars, man. Yeah. To be honest, man. So
and that's also advertising too. So
now in that aspect, I got a bunch of cars that are half done, and then people come there and see it, and then like maybe 4 years, 5 years now, and you'll see the different cars where they'll all be done, they'll all be painted, and they look good. So right now out there, like if somebody rolled up I got your cars out there. I got another 33 with the single turbo stuff. When Quan cars here, but I really only have like a show, which I got to build is like a showcase car that's like tip top done and everything. Is because honestly, I can't divert this money from, again, I told you I paid like 5-6K a month. That's more important right now than get my cars fixed. So if I do those 10 years from now, I'll do it from there. But you gotta. That's the biggest thing about the business thing, man. Is you have to sacrifice, man. There's no I haven't competed in 3 years. I even with jiu-jitsu and everything, man. I haven't done that because I can't chance getting like my leg broke or whatever, and not being able to work on a car. So I haven't been able to do that stuff. So like everything that you want to do, even music, I've in the last 3 years I want to make like 4 beats. So I was making like 10 beats a week at one point. So like that because I can't fire it up because I know if I turn this thing on, I'll be at it for like 3-4 hours, man. And then
time flies.
And then it gets to that point where you're like, I don't want it, and you just trash it, So yeah, man, time flies. So it's just you got to make it happen and different things.
You have a family too. I don't even have that. Like my wife is not the type of person to tell me I can't do nothing. So like literally, like a whole paycheck can go to car stuff, and I don't have anyone telling me. I was gonna ask you about that, man. Because like every time she comes in, man, like I've had a lot of wives come here. And some wives would be like, yeah, nice, and like she just sits in the car. And some wives, I've seen some really supportive wives. And not saying your wife was, she just kind of seemed like she was in her zone. Mm-hmm. I've had some really supportive wives, and had some wives that stand in the background like, man, what are you like what are you doing? Then I had a couple of customers which they probably watching it, and I'm not gonna name names, but the wife was kind of more vocal than the guy, and the guy was standing up to the side. Like I had one before I had this table. Like I remember one guy like. His wife was like sitting here, and he was standing off to the side and everything. And I kind of made a joke, and he's like, and like she wasn't laughing and shit. I was talking about like how much money it's gonna cost, and like I was like, well, pretty much, man. If I didn't, I don't like to think about how much money I spent, even in the last month or the last year or the last 20 years. Dude, I could have like 3 Ferraris, like no doubt. But at the same time, that's not my. A fixed up GTR, Civic, or whatever, I would make my head turn faster than somebody. Like I've had Ferraris drop by me, like my wife was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Whatever, dude." It's a status car, and it's not really. If you look at those cars, for the most part, those people are not real car guys. Yeah,
they're like, there's just something that it shows money, how much money they got. But you look at a dude like Paul Walker, rest in peace, and he had a few of those, but he was driving like a GTR, and he had money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But he preferred to drive a GTR. And when you went to I think you see his Provic stock, he had more like Supras, GTRs, like regular cars, because that's what we're into, man. Like the Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all that stuff. I mean, out of all those cars, I want an F40 because it just sounds. It's not even. It's just the turbo. It just sounds cool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's like the tuner's Halo car, the big old turbos, like all that stuff.
It's like it comes stock like that, dude. So it's like then the market change and everything. You got the new Super and all that stuff. What's your opinion on the new Super?
I don't understand why people don't like it. Like other than the engine thing. Yeah, but I think it looks good. I hear it's like smaller, around the same size as a BRZ, which I don't really care. I mean, I can't afford one either way, but if I had the money, I'd probably. Key point
right there, man. What you said is like, dude's like, I had one of my guys, Lou at Top Car, when we got released, the few of the guys were like complaining about it, and Lou was like, can you buy one right now? And the guy was like, nope. And he was like, can you buy one? And Lou was like, yep. And then then I was like, dude, that was it, man. Like that, like, yup is all he had to say. And the guy's like, all right, nice for you. And he just kind of went on by his days. Like, dude, like all the people complaining, like you can't buy it, dude. Like you can't afford it. I mean, without selling your house and selling your kids and doing all that stuff, man, you can't buy it. So like the biggest thing I get for the Super, everybody's talking about the engine, but like the 2J and the 1J, as great as they are, they're made by Yamaha. Mm-hmm. So it's not made by Toyota. Yeah. It says Yamaha on a block. So like, and so I mean that right there argument was lame because most of the stuff wasn't made by them, and then in the car industry, most of the stuff is hybrid. So like for example, I think it's the Diablo. the Diablo uses Z33 headlights.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like the Lotus Esprit uses like the Hachiroku taillights.
Yeah, because those are the hardest things to get through.
So it's for the passing of the road stuff. So they just went in there and took out the Nissan. So like that's not a new thing, man. That's why like I don't dude, the sharing of parts has been a thing for a long time, which is why when you open up your thing, you got Mitsubishi alternator, you got this part from water pump or whatever. So like it's cheap. It's reinventing the wheel is expensive. So you're gonna take those same parts and make them over again, man. So the industry is crazy, man.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, people should be glad that Toyota's even doing it. Like honestly, because
look at Nissan.
Yeah,
they've been waiting for S16 for like the last 30 years.
Like Toyota knows that like if they make these enthusiast cars like the BRZ, which people are saying it didn't do that well, but from my perspective, they're everywhere. Like they don't have to do this because they're not going to make a ton of money off of them, but they're keeping like our hobby alive. Like at the end of the day, everybody knows that they're going to do the Super anyway. They're going to try to put a 2J in it or swap something else into it.
Did you see my post about that?
Yeah.
And then like I'm like, dude, I was a joke, but I was like, it's a joke, but it's something I know. And sure enough, Daigo first got a 2J, so he has the money, he has the backing, and the thing about builds, man, like that, people like. Dude, if everybody had the cash, all builds could be done within 2 weeks, to be honest. Really honest. Like, in my case, I can have a full build done in under a week. It's just having all those parts there at the same time. That Collins kit I got for that, man, that cost me... That was like, with shipping and everything, with the drive shaft and just the adapter kit, that was roughly... It's like $1,900, man. You know what I mean? And it's like, you spent the money before, and it's not like... I mean, I spent that many times. But, that's $1,900 that could be spent on different stuff, and it's just like, well, I'll take that or whatever. Then I gotta get the ECU for it. That's another $1,500, and do what I want to do, man. So like, the BRZ and all those stuff are coming like that. They're a different car, and a lot of people are like, if you want a 2J, put it in there, and then stop crying about it. Yeah. That's what the people who got the cash and the know-how are gonna do. They want to put an LS1 in there, they're gonna do that. So like, the people who are crying about it, man, they can't afford it for one, and they don't have the know-how to do it, or they don't have the cash to get it done.
Yeah, and I wasn't around when the original Supra came out, but were people like thinking that was the end-all be-all of engines right out the gate?
The 2J,
or even like the 1J.
Well, on stateside they had the 7M GT, so that engine was, people have figured out, they used to blow gaskets, like that was a thing, the blown head gasket. So the 1J the 1J GTE, the non-VVTi version wasn't really available until like later 90s 2000s. Then they became cool, and then 2J came in, and the 2J was only available in like a the MK4. But the thing about it, dudes was doing the reason why the hype was, it was more so the engine because the big power of the Texas guys, because they were pretty much at the 2J. They did cookie cutter builds, big single turbo, maybe forge it, and they were getting like, with the stock one, they were getting 600 horsepower. And then after they forged it, these guys get 900, whatever horsepower and everything. And it's just, at the time, that was the biggest, the RB wasn't available in the States. So you could still get a 2J swap inside of the States. And that was just at the time, man. So now they're just everywhere. It's just, and to be like straight up, it's just a reliable thing, man. I mean, I love Nissan. I love RBs, but they got their quirks a little bit. RB20 is very solid, but lacks the placement. 25 is solid, medium. 26 has oiling issues, which is easily fixable with the damn crank snout and all that stuff. So that's another cry I don't understand. So once you get past that, everybody talking crap on RB26. It's just that they don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the extended crank. They don't want to do all that stuff. So they're going to cry about it. So, and I think also it was S2000, but the Fast and Furious came out 2099.
Yeah, I think it was 2000.
So that before that point, Supra was around, but it wasn't that buzz. It was just that orange damn Supra came out. That's when it took off. And same thing for Fast and Furious 2. Yeah, when the 34. And then you see all these dudes with these. I mean, I've seen a few nice ones, but most of them are whack. It's like, dude, nah, dude, it's not the. So after that came out, that R34 skyrocketed. So Fast and Furious is as corny as everybody want to say it is. I got in the game in like 98, 99, and then that came out. So I'm like within that Fast and Furious 1 genre. And also, I mean, yeah, it did influence me, man, to get like, cause I was already doing Gran Turismo. I had my guys, and then from that point, I was like, man, I want to build. I want to be like Jesse. You know what I'm saying? At that time, I knew.
Don't be all the way.
Yeah. I don't want to die and shit, but yeah, like I didn't know about like the, he was doing the tuning stuff. This is like, before I did tuning, and I was like, now I do like everything he did in the movie. Like, go back and watch. Like, I'm doing all this stuff now, man, and it's pretty cool, man.
Well, see, to that point of being like Jesse, like he drove like a VW, was like a Passat or something. Or was it like a? But that's what I'm saying. Like,
no front brakes.
People are like, people are like, oh, the new super engine, blah blah blah. Even when the BRZ came out, like they instantly threw the engine away. Yeah. But the thing that drives our hobby forward is like the innovation. Yeah. So people aren't gonna want to take the time to like break these things down and see where the weak points are. Where can we build a business around making this better? Yeah. Then you're gonna end up with every car is just a hybrid.
Everything's a hybrid. Everything looks the same. Speaking of hybrid, that's one thing I want to. I've seen a few. I actually thought about it, then it came. It's like now everything is so fast. Like I was like, man, I'll take a hybrid engine and make a drift car. Bam! It's already a 32 running around with a Tesla engine. There's
a Camaro in Formula D.
Yeah, they had issues.
Yeah, I didn't see him in the first one.
Yeah, well they said they couldn't run because they didn't have the fire extinguishers for the battery, which that is true because you got the ABCD and all that crap about everybody's been ready the fire extinguisher training. You can't extinguish a D fire with a C or whatever. So they said they didn't have that. And the thing about it, I'm like, what I didn't understand is these dudes are building it. I'm like, dude, of all the money in tech and the engineers, nobody thought to like check. Because that's like building a car and like, oh yeah, you like that's not good, man. Yeah. Like somebody dropped the ball there, man. Where they were like they were busy building the car and somebody didn't check like the rule books and like check with Long Beach. And stuff like that, man. But yeah, in the industry, man, like you'll get. I'm one thing I like doing is proving people wrong. And one case in point, everybody like I kind of bumped it up again, and then I got a bunch of other, haters or whatever they called it, cappuccino. I'm like, dude, like your skill set and availability and stuff, not yours, but I'm just saying like in general, like that's not mine, man. So like I know what I got to do. I'm not making this car street legal. Street legal. That would be totally different. Yeah, I'm gonna cut everything I need to cut to fit that engine in there. Yeah, that's like trust me.
Yeah, I seen it sitting with the engine in place. I was like, he's gonna take the whole firewall out.
It's like the firewall's already cut. Yeah, so I cut the whole trans tunnel had to be cut out, but I gotta do a bunch of reinforcement and stuff like that. So it's and I've already got the transmission sitting there. I got with the W58 because it's shorter. Everybody's like, I'm like, well, look, man, the power to weight ratio. A lot of people now looking the first thing I do is. Before I bought anything, man, I took the measurement of the 1J with the RM54, the V160, the W58 is shorter. So first thing I do is I measure the engine length, then I measure the car length, then I measure the length from the engine. You measure all this stuff before you buy a part, and that's how I do on my builds. That's how everything starts on paper, man. Everything I've done, every swap I do, and that's you can't fit a 2J inside a Tegra. It's just, you can do it, but the engine sits sideways, so you gotta think the engine's gonna be inside the car. So if you wanted to do it, you gotta cut, and from that point, it's not gonna be street legal.
Yeah. So when you started talking about that, there's a guy that I follow on YouTube, B is for Build. I don't know if you've heard of him yet, but he's a real good guy. He'll just buy scrap cars and fixes them. Yeah. But he had a big SEMA project where he wanted to build put the V10 out of a M5 into a 240Z. And he ended up getting it done, but it's like you said, he started with 2 metal frames and he measured everything, measure. So when people see stuff like that, don't think that he
they know. Like one thing I can see a rustic chassis, man, and then like it's just like that vision, man. Like one thing I know you could probably do, for beat making or music, it's like we have a way of like looking at stuff and then like you can dissect it. So like I already know like I know what the final thing is gonna be. I can just look at it. I wasn't really good at math. I actually failed. I actually dropped out of college because of that. I wasn't good at algebra, but I was good at geometry. And I don't know what it is, man. Everybody that sucks at like the XYZ and all that Boolean stuff, they're good at geometry. Geometry worked because like I can see shapes and levels. Like when I did that wing on a Subaru, I did it here on this floor. It was level. And it's 100% level. Like, and I did it. I didn't have any. I just eyed it. Like I just could see like everything connecting and everything went together. I put a level on it and then I tacked it and that was it. And I didn't have assistants to help hold it up and everything. And so like that stuff is it's a skill set, man. And so everybody's. I said it's going to be running by summer's end. I said so. It says on the trailer now. I'm gonna go down there and take it down there and get them to do the sandblasting and all that stuff. They're gonna see. They're probably gonna look at it like, what the hell? Get them to do that. And I got, again, the transmissions here. So that just came in. I got that dude at Bridge Motor, Alan Newsom. He broke it down, sent it to UPS because they was going to cost $1,500 to ship it. So I was like, dude, just take it apart. So they came in 3 boxes. You just put it all back together and everything.
Yeah, I really look forward to seeing that. And I never doubted that you were going to do it because now that I know a lot more about cars are not complicated at the end of the day.
They're all the
it's
same.
just a big jigsaw puzzle. Like, I've taken the engine out of my GTR twice now.
Yeah, and every time, that's why I was like, I knew every time you do it, it'll get, like I remember you was like, it was held, like when you was like, oh, it's held up. I was like, well, I think you already went to the point where you put pressure on it, so then you had to pull the pin and let it all fall out. And I've done it before too, man. The first time I did a 1J, I didn't know about the was it a 1J or the 1J. I didn't pull a shift fork out, which if you don't pull it out, it doesn't allow everything to fall back. Then the 1J you put the clutch on after you put the transmission on. So you slide the clutch back inside the bell housing, put it on, and then you slide it forward. So I didn't know that, so I was trying to pull it apart, and I was prying on it, and I broke the this is only like 6-7 years ago, and it was just I was like, oh man, I'm good, I know this, and blah blah blah, and I just figured. But so now when I do anything, if I haven't worked on it before, FSM, open it up. All right, W58, it's a fork, it comes straight out. R54 has that clip. R4G63 has that stupid fucking release. Yeah. Then the Subaru, same thing, release, but you can get rid of that, and it's different ways to attack it. But like you said, they're all the same. And my thing is, if some dudes in Germany can damn near make a Ferrari out of this pressed together carbon fiber, like I can put a 1J in a cappuccino.
Yeah.
Like it really.
Yeah. And that was like the biggest thing when I got my engine back from you the last time, and I told you I was going to put it back in because I didn't have the money to like have you do it, and you're just like, you follow the FSM. So I pulled it up. I had it on my laptop in my garage and just step by step, and like it's not hard to do.
And even that with that, I kind of get on Quan about that because he follows FSM, but then I'll come in here and I'll notice what are you doing with that page open on that forum? Then he had some stuff, and like the thing about the forums, people will dissect that and make their own things, but most guys most guys use FSM for torque specs, and then they use like the online stuff for like to see, because you'll see more pictures, it'll be in color. Before the FSMs, also what you got to take into consideration, FSMs are written for guys who've already been through the school. They've already been through Nissan Tech, so they've already been taught that, and the FSM only supplements that. So there is times where it is, sometimes it's not. It doesn't say it in there, and also with the translations, with Newton meters to torque, Newton meters to foot pounds, there's an error in the Nissan one that's going around. So I didn't know that. I'm like, dude, it was saying 250 something foot pounds of torque for like the crank bolt, and then you convert that to Newton meters. It's like 300 or 400 something Newton meters, and everybody's like, oh, dude, that's wrong. So it's one manual that everybody has, Australian one. It's a wrong, and then you go back and everybody will be like, yeah, that's wrong. Yeah. So it's like, I'm like, dude, I was trying to torque. I'm like, dude, hey man, you got a Newton meter one that goes up 400. It's like, for what? And I'm like, he's like, dude, I don't think that's right, man. And that was like, this was about, again, recent 8 years ago, something like that. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy, man. But yeah, man, you've seen some of the stuff, and unfortunately, you had the fuel pressure regulator stuff, and we'll talk about that a little bit offline for that. And yeah, man, it's just it's all easy. It's just, now with this Instagram stuff, man, it's like people just like quick to, it's like dudes don't have no life, no money, no nothing. They just want to see everybody fail. Yeah. And so all those people like, oh man, you can't do it. You can't. I'm like, dude, I'm not, number one, you're not paying me anything. Like, you're not, like, so why is this like a bother to you, man? If it fails, you just won't see it. Yeah. And then, that's it.
Yeah, people only post on Instagram things they want you to see. Yeah, you don't see all the times, like, you don't punch myself in the face with a screwdriver or drop or break stuff. But like, even when I posted about and I didn't think about the repercussions that it might have towards you, but
that's why I was like, man, that's why. I just want to make sure. I don't care about none of those guys that say whatever they said. I just want to make sure we was straight, man. Yeah. And that's why I just want to make sure, like, even though like we had this, I said, if I don't install it, all that stuff, it's not like you're on your own. It's like I just can't for the business, and that's what you'll learn when you do the business stuff. What you'll do is every time you have an issue with a customer, you'll write that down, like don't do this next time, and then they'll become like just like that's all the rules.
Yeah,
and it's like don't wear a gas mask to go scuba diving because some dumbass has done it. You know what I mean? And then they choke on a damn carbon filter or whatever thing, and so all the rules in the military is because somebody's done that. Somebody's put their hand on a PDOC tube, or somebody's done like dropped ammo on their foot or whatever, man. Mm-hmm. All the rules is because somebody's done it. So I had like a good base set from my knowledge, and then from there, like, you know, when I put at the bottom of the invoice, I didn't put subject to change. So then if I say it's going to change, and then the customer, being a good customer, they're like, hey, it doesn't say that. So you know what? It doesn't say that, so I'm going to eat that. And I eat like $300. And I was like, you know what? Next time I'll put it, because business-wise, they can, not really, but I didn't say it, and that's the way I honor it. So now I just put it there. It's subject to change up until, paid or whatever. So you'll get all that stuff there, and it's not to screw people. It's just to protect yourself, protect the customer, and then also like again, man, I've been 3 years here, and I've had a few like some people who like they're different culture, different whatever, and I don't back down from anybody, man. So I've had a few like not shout. Well, one guy I did had to kind of he was a different kind of guy. He was like somewhat of a player, gangster type of guy who he thought he was, and then I'm like, he met me. I'm like, nah, dude, you're not none of that. Yeah. And then he's like, hey man, he walked in my shop like, hey man, I emailed you. I'm like number one, I'm like, dude, calm down. Like you didn't email like, and it was a bad timing, man. I kind of went off on this dude, and I'm like, then he pulls out his phone. I'm like, well, show me your phone. And then he's like DONAD, like there's no L in there. That's no email for that guy. I'm Donald at Pinku.com. He's like, and then he's like, oh my bad, man. So he came in here all like, I'm like, so number one, like if I check it, I check it. Like I'm not sitting here like, hey man, I hope this guy mails me or whatever. And actually after that, man, he never came back. We did some business before, but it's like, man, like look, man, like you're not, you gotta stand your ground, man, and you can't. The customers, they're paying it, but you gotta know, like if you're wrong though, you gotta accept it. Like it is not. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I mostly put everything out there, so it's not. There's not a miscommunication sometimes, but sometimes something doesn't get stated clear enough and stuff like that. So then the business stuff, we kind of like moving around a little bit. That'll get there. We kind of don't know how we got on that topic, but but yeah, man. So far as so you got in the military, so you got about what? You got another.
I got another 3 years left, and then I'm going to try. I want to stay in Europe. I'm going to Europe next, and I want to try to stay there. My wife's going to be going to college there, so I'm trying to see about trying to set up. I mentioned the
what's the what is it normally? Europe is 2 years, or
I think it's it's 3. So we're doing 3 years.
3 years.
That's with a spouse.
The standard. Yeah. So that's not extended. Is that like extended long, or is that? I
think it's extended long because I chose whichever the longest one because I want to finish out.
So you'll be getting your overseas. You got your short tour stuff yet, or?
Yeah, so I did Korea before I came here.
Yeah, so you already got your so you should be in like 2 or 3 or something like that. Yeah. So being over there and all that stuff, man. So that's pretty good, man. Like my thing of the military, man, is I think personally they want to save money. Like if you tell a guy like if he could stay somewhere, I know it's bad for career progression because you don't get to go into a different place and see if you stay. I know I met people that was at Andrews for 10 years, and then I got out there in 2 years, and they were like, "How do you?" I'm like, "Dude, I went on what is that? The assignments somebody told me is a trick. If you go to assignments every like twice a week, they see that. Yeah, they can see that, and then I would go in there every day. Seriously, like 2 times a week. I go in there and change it, and then I met the PACF commander, and that kind of like just pushed me to the front, and that's how I got to Japan. PACF commander, he made it happen. So, that's why I got his coin there because again, if it wasn't for driving him and meeting him, I wouldn't be here. I'd probably still honestly be in because the military, man. Like I said, military is good. I made a lot of money in Iraq. My 3 tours, you meet a lot of people, but at the same time, man, people don't use it properly, and they just put all their eggs in that one basket. Like you're saying, man, that's why, like, I'm happy to hear you saying that you want to get out and do your own thing, man, because people are like, oh, man, why you want to get out and leave all this? And, I don't miss the commander's calls and the 5 EMPT and all that stuff, man. It's just some of the guys that, I was in Iraq with, and the people. You'll definitely miss the people, but the actual process and all the hurry up and wait and stand in line and stuff like that. Again, not knocking it, it's a process, but those skills you got from there, man. You might not seem like you have a lot, but dude, once you write everything down, you're like, holy shit, man, I got a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah, and when I was telling people, like my shop chief pulled me in, he's like, so what's your plans? I was like, I'm getting out. He's like, well, we got a lot of smart guys trying to get out. I was like, I don't think you understand, man. Like, for me, like I've seen what happens when you put all your eggs in that basket, like you're saying. You get out and you're still like sitting there like a fucking. I was gonna say some, but anyway, you don't know what you want to do.
Filters on here.
It's like if you don't know what you want to do now, you're not gonna know what you want to do in 20 years. It's no different. You got your little $3,000 a month, but that's still not a career.
It's not. That's people are gonna retire. But like unless you're like a general 4-star, then they can retire. Yeah, like they're good. They're good. Those guys have been good since they got their first start. They're like already. You play the game like that. I mean, those guys are the ones that are getting like the money. Then you got the Chiefs, the mill. They're like two. I've seen where it's like 2 Chiefs. They pretty much save 1 check, spend 1 check. Yeah. So that's a good deal. And then if you get like, I got 8% VA disability, so definitely get all your records and stuff for that. So you'll get from the flight line, you guarantee at least 20 straight up because of the hydrazine and all that stuff out there. So you'll get 20% out the back for the flight line guys. So I just told everybody to get all that stuff. And I got out 2012. I didn't do mine until like last year. So all that, and you don't get back pay. Mm-hmm. You get back pay from when you open your you start your thing. So when you're gonna get out, you can initiate your VA stuff, and then by the time you get like 6 months out, you get paid. So I started mine like 2017. I submitted in November December 2017. They got to the desk February 2018. I went to August 2018. I went to me and Quan went out there and did my physicals, and I got my money September. So from February to September, I got paid, and I got back pay. It was like maybe $15K. And I went all into the business.
Yes. So that's like the main thing. The last thing I want to say about that is, you have these guys, these master sergeants, senior master chiefs, whatever, and like a lot of them, they won't say it, but they joined the military because they were scared. Right. They were scared. They didn't want to go out in the real world. So they joined the military. Most of them have that background, so they know. Yeah. And now they're here 20 years later, and they're still scared. And when they hear someone getting ready to get out, they're like scared for you. Yeah. They're like, man, I understand. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, but I'm ready to take that jump. And everybody's like, and my dad says too, he's like, all right, you're going to spend 20 years. I was like, if that does happen, I always tell him, I was like, the only thing that would keep me in is if I had a kid. Yeah. And I don't have a kid, so better now to spend 10, 15 years breaking my back hustling, trying to build something versus I'm 40 now and I get out and it's like, shit.
I'm definitely not going to. Again, I was that guy, man. I was dorm chief. I was a green rope. I was like, I don't know, man. It's just something about the being in a leadership position. I was like, I'm going to do 20. Then I went to my first duty station, Chief Marshal. Never forget it, man. I went there and chill, laid back, kind of remind me of like Shaft type black guy and shit. Yeah. Bald head, mustache.
That's every chief.
Yeah. So he's like, what's up, Jackson? Like, I'm like, totally not. Like the first thing I went to, I walk into the office, it was a hangar, and the dude's like, bring my fucking clipboard. I'm like, damn, man, this is like not what he's like. This dude's just like on the meds, and just actually, they know Ducartier just about a year prior to that, he got thrown out of the truck. They were doing convoys, broke his neck, so he had like the big halo. And when I came to Wichita, that was the second week back to work since the whole entry. Mm-hmm. So like all these guys are like, Iraq, Afghanistan, early Afghanistan, early Iraq vets. So they all been shot or hit by IEDs. Purple Heart. It was like 3 Purple Heart guys in there in my shop. First day I walk in there, so I'm like, this dude's different, man. And I was like, I'm gonna like these dudes, man. All of them, like one guy had a Nova, they were all car guys. Yeah. One guy every guy there had like a car that was like at least 600 horsepower. I'm like, these dudes are dope, man. So like, I was like, dude, I'm glad I didn't get turbo shaft, and I got vehicle ops. And then, I go in there, whatever. And they was like, all right, go meet the chief. So I go in there, he was like, hey, like, I read up on your thing. And I was like, you play football at University of Maryland? So you do all this computer stuff. He's like, why the fuck you here, man? And I was like, chief, I couldn't pass algebra, man. And I just wanted to, it wasn't going good. And I came here. He's like, he talked to me. He's like, man, get out of his career field. I was like, it's like, dude, that's like my. He's like, get out of his career field, Jackson. He's like, man, he's like, I talked to a lot of people. I've been in this game a long time, and I could see like where people at. So I was like, all right, man, this dude's telling me to get out. And then like 6 months later, I was in Iraq. And but I decided, I was like, nah, I'm like, because I was doing Iraq stuff. It was good money, and then I was actually, everybody was cool. Mm-hmm. So he was being real though, because he's like, well, you don't going to do 20. He was like, if you do 20, definitely get out of his career field. And then sure enough, man, there was guys I never thought would get out. They were getting out. They transferred because outside of like in my career fields, vehicle ops, there was like, you could do logistic stuff and everything, but it really wasn't. Most guys were doing bus driver or they're doing like the trucking stuff, but most guys didn't want to do that. So, it's kind of crazy, but like you're saying, your experience, I would recommend definitely doing a military resume service, because they'll take all your EPRs, decks, and awards, because I had all that stuff lined up, but I was like, well, how am I going to, because the military jargon and all that stuff. So what I did from there was I submitted everything, and 2 days later I had a resume, and then I got a job at the PAX terminal, and then from there I worked at Cubic with the HDMI pod. So it was the best $250 I spent, man.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm sure they'll tell you about when you go to TAPS and all.
Yeah, but dude, speaking of TAPS, man, when I went to TAPS, I was a staff, getting out. I was the only person there with a resume on the first day. Only guy, man. That's the thing. This is the mindset, man. So there was chiefs, there was officers in there, and then, dude, I got after the first session, all these chiefs like, hey, man, let me get that link or whatever. Yeah. Like, I'm like, you're supposed to be telling me that. I'm like 20, 29, well, I'm like 30, whatever, something at that time or whatever. And yeah, man. So like that's where that right there, man, to me solidified that everybody ain't on the same they not thinking that far, man. And for a chief, senior master sergeant being there with no, not even a pre-written one. They didn't have it. Mm-hmm. And so when I pulled, I kind of like, I was like proud, man. It's like I got here's one right here. She looked at it like, this is good. And I was like, she's like, where'd you do this at? And they kind of screwed up because she was going to tell us everybody how to write resumes. She's like, well, let's go to this link. And we just got onto some other stuff, man. So yeah, man. But yeah, man, process, man, you're leaving, man. Just hit me up. It's going to be a little bit. Just let me know, and then I'll send you the stuff, man. And I actually have to this day, I got the federal, the regular. I got all the resumes saved. So if I send you the resume, you'll see the pattern, which is pretty much, man, it's 2 pages, and you got to write it. You got to take all those skills like you got. So like if you do like data entry, and the job you're looking at is whatever I know you want to do your own thing, but just for like to get some supplemental income, you just take what you're doing, and you take all those main points and you write it as strong as you can towards that job. That's it.
Yeah. So I'm not delusional. I know I'm not coming out right out the gate swinging. Like, especially when my wife's trying to be a full-time student, I'm gonna have to bring down some sort of income. Yeah. And in order to keep the same sort of standard of living, I got to make like 40, 50 grand a year. So I got to get something decent. But I still have my own path that I want to go to.
The GI, you always hear a lot of people saying do the GI thing, but I didn't do it, man. Honestly, I left college to join, so I really wasn't like, let me do this. Because if you do the GI stuff, they'll pay for like you can work it where it's still, and they're cracking out on that now. So now you got to show them the transcript, and you have to pass it. You can't just be like getting D's and stuff. And then so now I think they changed it to where you after the course or something like that. So they'll pay for you tell them how much your rent is, they'll tell them how much the stuff is, and then they'll supplement that. So I know a few guys have done Monte Carlos off of that, and I was like,
I was taking a math class. It was like the algebra special one that they have for the military people, and I'm like you, man, like that XYZ crap, man. I don't. But so halfway through the class, I was passing it, but then I ended up with like 2 bad grades that put me at like a D. Yeah. And like I was doing some research, and they're like, if you don't pass this, you got to pay all that money back for the class. And I was like, oh shit. Got my books open. I studied my ass off, and I passed the final exam. I ended up with I think it was like a B in the class. Yeah. But I was like, man, I can't be dealing with this. That's
what a lot of guys don't know. And then they be like, then you end up doing that to get the car money. Then like, say like I've had guys that have not like they try and do that, then they're like, oh man, I can't build a car now because I gotta do this class. And like, well, that's every little little shortcut in life people try to take, man. But all in all, man, it ain't nothing is that's one thing about life, man. Even we see these cats who are making millions of dollars. You know, we were talking about beats in NBC. You got your guy Kanye there. All of, you know, we would look at, you know, all the money in the world, but still this dude's having mental problems and he's doing all this stuff and whatever. I don't follow him too much, man, but it's like people think when you get up to a certain amount, you know, money is like everything's over. You still got kids problems. People, unfortunately, part of life is people dying and stuff like that. And I know his mom passed away and stuff like that with Kanye's mom, and people say that kind of really, after that happened, that threw him off. So, you know, life is never going to stop, man. You can't pay life off, man. That's one thing. So that's one thing with this business, man. I was like I ended up in the hospital because I was like, I was getting like 2-3 hours of sleep every night. You know, I had all this stuff going on, man. I got like more gray hairs as a result, and I don't show it, but you can't fool the insides. So that they know you're stressing about, like, I got 10 days to come up with $4,000. Like, and I sold last 2,000, got that back, and then whatever, man. It's like that stuff. It's going to be there. So like, I'm not looking. That's why I don't treat customers like that. I'm not trying to be like rich off of it. I just want to have enough cash to. I like doing this. I like being here, working on the cars. It's therapeutic to me for the Iraq stuff. I don't have a lot of people here because I don't like people here. Yeah. And that works for me. So I just know how it works for me. And then, you know, I just want enough money to pay for what I'm getting paid for, and then move on to the next guy. That'll get people in here versus trying to like take everybody's life savings. And you got shops like Top Secret. I'll put them out there. Like, Top Secret is doing nothing that I can't do. It's just that they've been out for a long time. They got that mystique about them. So for the same job that I would charge a guy $2 or $3K for, you're getting charged for that same job $15, $16K. Yeah, you know what I mean. So and that's and the people want to pay that. I've heard of guys at Yokota go to Junior Auto, they get a intercooler pipe and cut, clock 180 degrees, $400 and a sticker. I'm like, dude, like, really? He's like, yeah, man, I got a Junior Auto sticker. I'm like, yeah, dude, but you paid.
It's the same work.
It's the same work, man.
Did it in your garage.
And the thing about it wasn't like done by the dude who started Junes. I think he's dead. He just died recently. Yeah. It's done by some dude who just welded it, and it's like, then like that. But this guy, particular dude, was a car show guy, so he didn't have anything about track. And I'm like, then he's just like, oh yeah, I got this done by June, and they're like, oh yeah, so you go away. I'm like, you pay $400 for a single beat weld. It's like, cool, man. You know, so. I'm not going to even try to compete with that. That's not my thing. I'm not, you know, I'll do that. That's why I don't do the cars and coffee thing, because it's how we get customers. Like, dude, none of those guys, they're doing dress up stuff. They're going to Ozawa to get paint. They're going to this guy to do the body kit. I don't do any of that stuff, man. So I'm not benefiting from the time. I'm taking away time from building engines and doing all that stuff. So it's just like, you got to know what it is. Yeah.
Oh, just one thing that I had to throw in there. So I don't know if I ever told you about this, but the way I originally found out about you was, so I was in the USO on my way here, and I was just searching like Masawa drift, like on all the different search engines. And I remember I found one of your old forums of you, like, it was like you were building up your 33, I think it was like a GTS.
Oh yeah, it was probably on drifting.com.
Yeah. And that's how I learned about you. And I was like, man,
I stopped updating it.
Yeah. And that's why for me sitting here right now, it's kind of like surreal, because like I seen your page, and that's why when I came at you originally, like, oh man, you're cool, like, let's be friends. Like, nah, man, I'm running a business. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I got, you know.
I think the first time, like, it's from that message to like now, it's like I'm a lot relaxed, man. Like, one thing is the email, man, because like email, even in the military, there's like, dude, you can't talk to the commander like that. I'm like, dude, what? I'm like telling him like this and this. Like, you got to fluff it up. I'm like, nah, man. Yeah. So like I kind of always maintain like the direct, because email, man, you start putting LOLs and all that stuff in there, and then people like, it's like, nah, just tell them direct. You're busy. You got stuff going on. I just like to be direct to the customer and get stuff there. So like, yeah, I mean, I probably, if I go back and read that message, I probably say, man, I probably sound like a jerk.
Well, I still, it didn't, like, obviously didn't go in my mind how I thought it was going to go, but I still I've learned a ton just from dealing with you, and like even being able to pick your brain every now and then about like some car stuff, because I know you got to keep it, you know, you're running a business, there's no freebies, but I've still been able to get a lot of knowledge, and it just goes to show, like, you have to pick and choose the type of people that you want to have around you. Like, especially in our car community, there's a lot of good people, there's a lot of people that you probably want to avoid, and you just got to pick and choose and find those genuine people.
So one thing about that is like, it's because the reason why is because everybody's situation is different. The reason why I do it like that if a guy comes here, which I don't do because I did when I first started, and I realized, man, dudes are coming in here like the first couple months. I was like, man, I had all these guys come in here and they were asking questions about things. And I'm like, I realized I'm giving them like the secrets to do it.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, if a guy says, well, how do I do this? I don't do it anymore because I can't be if something blows up or whatever, and you'll see like on which computers like, well, like, don't we're not responsible for whatever wherever. Even in forums, people will show you how to do something.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you can do it, but at your own risk. So when you blows up, you can't say Booger Boy 5 told me to do it like this.
Yeah.
And thing fell on your head or whatever. So like, so it's like, yeah, you got to use jack stands, dude. So like I can't. I just don't. It's not being addicted to people. I can't give all the advice. And then I've had people go to the hobby shop, and this happened, and they do it, and he's like, oh, you said, I'm like, no, I didn't say do it like that, man. Like, I didn't say use that tool.
Yeah.
And they do it the wrong way and strip it and stuff. Then they'll eventually come here and things like that. It's just, you got to protect yourself. And honestly, after the job is done, like I say, when I did your engine breakdown, like, I remember we came here and did all that stuff. So, like, it wasn't like you didn't pay for like the seminar, but like I showed you all that stuff, so you had the paper. So now like you know more than like the next guy. So like when you go to another engine shop, if you go to get an engine built for another car later on down the line and they're not doing that stuff, that's not good.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Now I really know what to look for as far as in the quality of the work. Like the way you broke it down for me is like you measure this, you go off of this, go off of this.
Yeah, if they say just drop it off and then like see you later, like nah, dude, like so you don't have any like questions or what I want to build for or whatever. Like if I'm going to do time attack, I'm going to do this because all that stuff kind of if you're going to do like Gymkhana, all that plays into like your bearing choice, the turbo choice, all that stuff plays the cam choice, all that plays into like what you're trying to do. So if you want to do top fuel dragster, you don't build it like a drift car. You don't build it like a grip car for Tsukuba.
Yeah,
they go fast and they make noise, but they're different. Tsukuba car is not gonna do good on WRC rally. It's just two different things, man. So that's why I try to sit everybody down, slow everybody down, and help them save money and everything. And again, it doesn't. Some guys, man, some people, man. You were fine, other guys are fine, but some guys I've tried to do the same process. They just make it so hard, man. And then it comes back to looking like I'm trying to be hard. I'm like, nah, dude, like it's easy, man. Like you set up the how much you want to do, what you want to do. I give you the quote, you pay the reservation, I set the date, and then that's it. And then it just some people just couldn't get it or whatever, man. So it's everybody. And I got to learn. I was kind of treating everybody as a blanket, but everybody's like a little bit different. And again, it's only 3 years in, and things. Again, not saying I don't know it all. I got my system how I want to run it, but you got to modify things. And the reservation thing again also helps with the military because everybody's TDY and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's why the real reason on top of people with no show, no call is your schedule is not. Nobody on that base schedule is the same, man. Airmen's doing their thing. You got the flight managers doing their thing. The commanders doing their thing. And I've had everybody. I've had. One of my customers was the commander of the 13th. I had the R33.
Yeah.
He sold it to the guys who captain. So I've had pilots in there.
Yeah.
So I've had guys from all over, man.
That purple, I think it's been through here. The purple R33 with like it's got the oil cooler in the front where the grill is.
Chief.
I saw him at the
huge
the CS
like Ronnie Coleman, man.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I was like, no wonder this thing's so fly.
Yeah,
got all them stripes.
He bought Raleigh, man. He bought it. It was actually all that stuff was there. I did his clutch and his starter, and he's a car. He actually got he's an LS guy, so he got like some stuff. If you talk to him, he's cool guy, man, real cool. I actually think about him as I seen him like a while ago on a flight line, but I was doing the cubic stuff, not cubic, and I think he had just got here and everything, and he got that and everything. So yeah, man, he's a chill guy, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So a lot of people are car guys here, and if you can get to the connection on the car guy front, you can usually make a good connection. But like if I see someone like that on the flight line, the bald headed black guy, you're like, let me try the other way. Where you try to mess my shit up.
Yeah, he's cool.
And then you'll never know that he's in the same thing I'm into.
Yeah, and it's you got a lot more stripes and higher pay grade and everything, but at the end of the day, that's one thing too, man, is you see like in the military, of course you got your customs courtesies, but then like the captain was here and like they will be all in the lot and everything, and like the dudes rhymes with Paul Walker, man, he got that same young face and everything, and he'll be there, and then like guys will be there, roll up, and it'll be like he'll be so much into the car, like it's like not saying like it's cool not to salute, but he's like. He knows, like, he's like, nah, he's not looking for a render salute in front of a car shop.
A lot of people know to leave that stuff at work,
and
unless
like
they're getting disrespected.
At one time I had him in here, then I had a bunch of guys walking here. It was this one time when it's like, you've been here before, when everybody kind of comes at the same time, and like everybody will be like, it'll be like ranked, like they'll see he's a master, he's a tech, he's a staff, he's A1C, and I've had like all these different ranks like right here, and they all is just like, yeah, man, so you're gonna do this and the turbo list, and it's like. It's just car people. It's the rank, then you go back on base and then you put all that crap back on. But yeah, man, Riley's a cool guy, and I supposed to be doing he's talking about doing an engine build because he wants like 600 horsepower. I was like, yeah.
It already sounds great. I think it's got that titanium exhaust.
Yeah, you already had it. Yeah.
I've been drilling over those for a long time.
It's a combination. So I done with that stuff. I think the coolest sounding one I done, he had the guy had Maduri down pipes. He had the Mines front pipe, and he had all these, but they were all like high end. Then he had the Tomy Extreme. So that 33 outside got Tomy Extreme on it. And a single turbo and everything, and he just dropped his off and everything, man. So yeah, it's that's the cool thing about the car, and that's why, man, like I get really annoyed, man, easily when people try to inject drama, because I hate it, and it's like, why are we even like going there, man? And like I just want to enjoy cars, and at the end of the day, so like some guys like they'll like in this setting or at the track, they're like I'll be smiling, but like when it's business and it's like it's a different. It's like turning that switch, man. It's like, hey, man, like we got to bring it back in, and like some guys, they just want to again, past experiences make it harder. So again, once you get into the business, you're gonna deal with somebody who's got powder coating somewhere else, and the powder coating flaked off or whatever. What happened is like, hey, man, look, I'm using the proper processes. Sorry for what happened before, but this is how it's going to run here, and what I mean. And also, you gotta get make sure that, because you can't do certain things. You can't spray brake cleaner on it. You can't spray certain solvents on it. It's not gonna. So you gotta make a list of stuff to do, and don't do this. If you do that, it's just gonna happen. So it's just different stuff, man. So, but yeah, man. Yeah, we're about 2 hours right now.
Yeah, it went a lot longer and smoother than I expected.
Yeah, and it's just talking. Like, I tell everybody, man. Like most everybody that's here, we've already had conversations before. So like if you go back and all the times we talked before, it'd probably be like 5 hours, man. So it goes on. You got any other questions or any other?
No, not really. We covered really everything that I would like to have covered.
So this is the Instagram stuff right here. So you got stuff in there from the build. Is this going to come up or not? Or
you had to like log in on it, but you can see the name there if you care to follow. Like mostly on there, is all car stuff, and I'm a huge Nismo head, so I'm always like collecting and getting kind of cool little stuff here and there. So it's interesting to look at. There we go. And I'm a nerd too.
There's got the Avengers on there. Yeah, so no, that's the thing to me. So we can even talk so see that, man. It's triggered. I know you watch anime too, right? So like, what animes you're into?
Yeah, so I'm always getting parts and stuff, and
the gaming setup there. And, I remember he's still in solos. There's just your old chaser.
Yeah, I'll miss
the
that.
wife. What's up with his suit? Did you get that from the?
No,
Nismo?
So there's a classifieds page I'm on in Europe, and the guys are always selling stuff, and that's a suit from one of the GT3 Nismo guys.
Oh, one of the pit guys, pit crew.
Oh no, it was one of the drivers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he wanted like $400 for it.
So it looks a little bit. Does it actually fit you?
Yeah, it fits me a little bit, but I'm not gonna wear it. It's just like a display thing,
Pretty dope, man.
Yeah, so. And that's the block I was lucky enough to get. That's really like, now I'm thinking about it, like that saved my whole.
Yeah, because it would have. We got a single lug. Yeah, man. So there you go. So when you said something about like you just buying titanium, I remember like did you know Rick?
Yeah. Me and him are like actually really good friends. He's always like, can you send me this? Can you send me that?
Because he was a little bit. He had like 2 lives here because it was one when I first got here. And he had like the janky cars, and then like he came back a little bit older and wiser. Then he built that other car. Then like I remember he posted up. He's like, I spent so much stuff. And he's bought like a titanium hood prop. It's like, yeah, man. It's like I really don't have anything else to spend money on, man. So he bought his titanium rod. to hold on my hood. So.
His collection of stuff will just blow your mind.
Yeah, I went to his house to get a pair of spacers or a silencer.
Mm-hmm.
Then I opened his garage and he had that R33 that pretty much pieced together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna do an excerpt with that, but that's around the same time that I kind of not Facebook, but YouTube started going off and everything, but and stuff like that. But yeah, so you said like far as like your anime, what are you watching now, or what are you?
I'm trying to get on One Punch Man. Like everybody's on One Punch Man, but I haven't been able to watch it. So I'm trying to get on that. But as far as animes, I've seen Initial D. I'm kind of weird. Like I like fucked up anime. Yeah. So like the most fucked up shit I can find. Like there's one called Blood Sea. That's like super gruesome. Like I'm really into like the combat samurai sort of stuff. Oh, yeah. So I haven't had time to like sit down and get into
pretty sure you've seen Kenshin and
nah, I don't think so. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm behind on it. Like I've got too many things.
That Kenshin is actually a mainstream samurai because you got Afro Samurai Champloo. You seen that before?
Yeah.
So that's actually Samurai Champloo is how I learned about Nujabes. Mm-hmm. So I was like, man, who's making these beats? And like this Japanese cat making NPC. Fortunately he died a few 10 years ago, something like that. So yeah, man, like that. And then, I mean, yeah, because it was like, well, I'm gonna give it out, but dude, I mean, there's so many out there. But my biggest source for sampling is anime soundtracks, man. Because nobody, I mean, unless you're in it. So like now I got about maybe 6 or 7 Kenshin beats from that soundtrack, and it's just like OST soundtracks, original soundtracks. I sample all types, man, and it's like it's dope, man. Like I sample a lot of that, man.
I've actually recently started learning about that. Like I had a friend that was one of the intros to the Naruto is something about being blue. Is like I forgot the name of the song. He's like, I bet you can't make a beat out of this. I was like, I bet you I can. Yeah. And then like 10 minutes I turned something around and I was like, let me go start listening.
Yeah,
this stuff is
dude, it's deep, man. It's deep. Like in the anime thing is for all my anime library. And I showed it to somebody like, oh, that's child's play. And I'm like thinking I got some hard stuff. Like I mean, like deep, like Darker Than Black. Some of the names are in like Japanese, so I can't pronounce them. Mm-hmm. Like I like the darker. Like I don't really like the glamour. Like Bleach, for example. Bleach started like really it started out. You've seen a few episodes.
Yeah.
I'm still at 287. Like we still like I got all these ones to watch. So when it first started, I'm like this. Then it just got serious real quick, man. Like. I'm like, oh, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
It got real serious.
That's why I fell off of Naruto. Like, it's real kiddie in the beginning. And then, like, everybody's talking about all the stuff that happens. Like, man, I'm not going to watch, like, 150 episodes to get to the good
Dragon
shit.
Ball can't. It's some, like, it's kind of just so far along. Like, Kenshin, I mean, if you go back and watch Kenshin, this has, like, think about maybe, it's not, they're, like, 24 minutes episodes. But if you watch it, you can get sped up. So I watched it, and then actually when I got done with the OST or the OTS or whatever it's called, the OTA, or when I got done with that, the movie came out, and then so I got this. So I was seeing the movie first, which it would have because I like samurai stuff. I already knew. So what they took and they had to like speed this up or slow this down. Then it's 2 movies now. So Kenshin, man, definitely check that out. It's samurai stuff, and it's pretty dope, man. It's and the thing about it got that fantasy in there, but it's like believable stuff. Like the dude is just badass, and he kills people. He's an assassin that turned into a good guy, but he's still, when you push him, he goes back to that point and everything. Yeah. But man, I'm pretty sure there's stuff out there that you watch that I haven't seen, man. So like the cool thing is I'm new to Netflix. So I've seen a bunch of stuff on there. Then this one place called Kiss something anime.
I know what you're talking about.
Because I watched the Baki. Baki Grappler.
Yeah, I saw you talking about that
dude,
on.
It's dope. Man.
I seen it, but I haven't started watching because off base on Japanese Netflix you can't get the English subtitles.
Well, they have the new one. The reason I got one back in time because that Kiss place, I watched them all there. They you just gotta do some stupid capture stuff. But I watched it all. I binged. I watched it in a weekend, and it was I watched all that, and then I got the new one. Highly recommend, dude. It's dope, man. Like it's like it was like making me want to fight. So like it's a nice story. Then they even mixed Muhammad Ali in there, like in the end part.
Really?
Yeah, because they were like saying his father met Muhammad Ali back in. They were it's like it's fantasy kind of. Based on how strong everybody, the dude is really strong. He's 13 years old, but then they also mix in like some reality stuff, like a lot of the Pink race, or if you follow pride fighting, they mix a lot of a lot of judo stuff. So being I'm a practice MMA and jiu-jitsu, but judo, I have this stuff, but I haven't really started, but I know like some stuff, and they mix a bunch of stuff in their karate and all that stuff. So
yeah, and I imagine for you having that actual connection of doing it, which I've been tossing on. So I know you like Joe Rogan. I like Joe Rogan, so I'm learning about all this stuff, but I don't do it. Yeah. So I was like, maybe it's time for me to get off
Joe
my
Rogan,
ass
you want to do everything. Man. Like, you want me like, I don't need hunt.
I need a bow and arrow.
I don't need a bow dude. You want to do everything, man. But yeah, man. Yeah, that's like you said, man. It's I always wanted to do like martial arts, even in sports. I didn't start football until 9th grade because we lived in West Baltimore and all the teams were East Baltimore. So I didn't like I was when I first went to the practice, I was like 5 years behind. Everybody was Pop Warner. So they already like knew what to do. They knew what the 3 was. They knew what the gap was. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? I just know how to hit people.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, man, the when you get into stuff, man, it just like you get into it. It sucks a little bit. Like tonight, I'm going to jiu-jitsu for the first time in like maybe 3 months. One of the guys is leaving. I'm just kind of going there to, we call a roll off when somebody leaves and then they just get rolled. They roll everybody the last time. So I'm not even gonna go. I mean, I ain't even training, man. So I gotta kind of take it easy. But when you get on the mat, it's like you just forget everything, and then the next day you be like, back hurts and everything. Yeah. Everything hurts. So
or like I could have done this. I could have done that.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, man. So it's kind of crazy, man. But the thing what sucks, man, like I say, you're into so much stuff. I'm into so much stuff, but it's like you torn so many ways. Like you want to buy this, the synthesizer, but also you want to buy this turbo kit. Yeah. So it's like, it's like I want to get the new MPC, studio, but then that's like this much, and that's coming out now. Yeah. I want to get one of those for the. First I was like, I got these, but this makes MPC number 6. So I mean, I don't need all. I need one, but.
Yeah. When I was doing the RC drifting thing, like that's why I've sold it off twice, because it's like you can get so deep down the hole, but it's like with my cars, like I can't afford to spend $500.
Like a top of the line, like bells and whistles, all like RC cars is about $2,500.
Yeah, man, like, and that's just getting the chassis. Like sometimes the chassis.
I know most guys that's just like 1 of 10.
Yeah,
so that's $2,500 times 10.
Yeah, and that's why when I post them for sale, and I was like, I want $500 for this. People are like, a radio control car. I was like, you don't even know. This shit's carbon fiber. Got fucking the dampers.
You had the gyros and the.
Yeah, I had the gyro. I had like the top of the line little the receiver, like everything top of the line on that. The last one that I had, and I still wasn't keeping up with the Japanese guys. They were still over my ass.
But when I bought the Tamiya, was like one down at the store down the Hatchinoi, not the junk store, but the Yorozuya. Mm-hmm. So I bought it was S15 one. It was a Tamiya, or I'm not sure what it was, but it was like basic, and it was the all-wheel drive one. Mm-hmm. So like when I went to back when Wishcom first opened up his thing at Rob's place, I took it there and I'm driving around. It basically wants to get 10 feet away from me to do what it want.
Yeah.
And they're all looking at me like, this fucking guy. Then the thing about it, they didn't know me, and I didn't like go in there like I'm a drifter, so they didn't know that I had like 10 real drift cars.
Yeah. And
then they're like, oh, you really drift? And then from there, some of those guys actually bought cars. And then that's when I met I knew Alan, but he was already into it and everything. So they was like, well, kind of like they were just getting into they were all all-wheel drive. So I took the diff and I welded the diff with like some glue gun.
Yeah.
So that made it go a little bit faster, but I had the wrong wheels. And the what was it, man? It was just once I seen they were programmed. I'm like, what? They had a laptop, and I'm like,
it gets deep.
I'm like, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm like tuning shit and like programming the radio frequencies. Like everybody got to have a different channel. I'm like, man, this is deep, man. I just like sold it.
Nowadays, you can do the torque band, the turbo, the boost functions, when you want the brakes to come on, like all that stuff. You can go so deep on that stuff.
Yeah, I see Alan. He bought this because he's an iPad guy or whatever, and he needed, I guess, his PC base, so he had to bring it over and plug it up to the USB. And Carl was sitting here. He's like loading the shit up, and the wheels start twitching and everything. Like,
see, not even talking about it now, I'll be like, I gotta go get me another one.
Yeah, man. Like, then you don't do the helicopter stuff, do you?
I
know Bill does. I know because I'm wondering because he does like the RC plane and RC cars.
Yeah, I never got into the helicopters because that's not really like my realm.
Yeah.
So it'd be hard for me to force myself to get into it. But with the RC drifting, like you can get it to where it's like almost just like an actual, obviously not just like an actual car. But and people always ask like, why do you do the electric? Why is the wheels plastic? And I was like, those couple of things you have to make a sacrifice on, but the rest of it is real close to like what you're actually doing, other than the actual control of it.
Yeah.
But even with the gyro thing, it still kind of simulates the way the wheel kind of goes when you're driving the actual car.
Yeah, it was what I was trying to get on the all-wheel drive thing. I sold that one, so I didn't touch it for a while. Then I drifted like one that was set up, but then like flash 4 years later, then the gyro thing is I was like then Alan let me drift it. He's like, nah, dude, you kind of like set it on course and you kind of let it do its thing and then you kind of bring it back. So I was coming from real drift, I'm thinking like when I go sideways, I got to count. He's like, nah, dude, don't do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, it just so then it went from I couldn't hold the corner, and then I was actually drifting around a lot within like 5 minutes, and it was just like you set it and then kind of tweak it a little bit. You know how it is. I'm not explaining it to you, but it's just he was like, man, come over there. I'm like, dude, I got to get some practice, man, before I show up there and do all this stuff, man.
You've seen the guys at MSP, man. They take that stuff. It's fun for them. It's just a hobby, but the actual setups are like top of the line sometimes, and it's like
what I was planning on doing. I mean, you'll be gone, sadly, but I was going to well, he said my lot's kind of a little bit too rough, so we were gonna build a something that's expedient to take apart and put together. But yeah, that's kind of one of those things where I kind of hard for me to host the event, man, when I got all these cars to build and everything.
I remember there was supposed to be an event when I first got here. You and Alan were trying to put something together, but it never like panned out, I think. But that's whatever. And then MSP opened up like right after that, so that was like the go-to spot. But I think they're in the process of almost closing down now. So.
What DS? What's it called? Oh, MS. What's it called?
Not MSP. Masawa RC.
Yeah, something like that.
But
Yeah, I heard about that. I was wondering about like that's again that whole venture was the guy who I think started it. That was like he already got another business that was just like some kind of side stuff.
Yeah.
And if it blows, it blows. But it's hard to sustain something like that with a few guys. And I know it was just you, Alan, Bill, from what I know, and then like you had Ando and then a few other guys, and it wasn't enough to. I mean, what like 6 or 7 guys?
They would open on like Friday through Sunday, but really Sunday was like the only day where there'd be a bunch of people there. And you got to pay for, like you said, the electricity, keeping all the plumbing and stuff on. It just doesn't pan out.
Yeah. So. Then if the person they're running is kind of running it more like I don't know if they would charge you guys at the door or whatever, but then you get to the point where you get cool people, then all of a sudden you notice people ain't paying, and then people just start showing up. And I don't know how it was, but I've seen a lot of stuff like that at start where it's like they kind of go into it with no plan, and then like that becomes like a buddy hangout and
that's
stuff like that. Yeah, so nothing against it, but that's money, man. That's money you're not making, and you can't.
And I threw around there because I remember Big D's used to have one, and then when I first came here, I asked them about it, and they're like, "Oh, well, we don't do it anymore." And I was like, "What? I mean, that seems like." But then you think about all the stuff you have to put in place.
Then space. I know one thing. I went there a couple of times. I mean, and I know that thing was pretty grand, so that's taking up storage space and whatever else. So if you're not making the money off of that, you can store one car and make more money on that car storage than you can make in a whole year of the RC stuff. So it's just the allocation of space and stuff like that, which works out and everything, man. But we had to shut this down, man. But yeah, man, thanks again for stopping through. Like I say, this everybody that's out there. I'll put down the links to the music. Again, of course, the music that's gonna. Just select the track and just whatever one you want to select. Then whatever the track on the end of this end of the video, it's going to be definitely from him. So again, like I say, actually about maybe 2 or 3 so far have already been from his music and some of the videos on there. So if you see the sounds of music, that's this guy right here and everything. So again, I got my music and all my guys. I'm going to promote them before I just throw a Kanye track up there and get billed for it. And I can't monetize my videos, so whatever. So all that stuff like that. So again, it's going to be thank you guys for tuning in for this. It's been 2 hours and 17 minutes by my clock right here. So it's going to be, again, Donald Jackson signing out, Darius Staples signing out from Masawa, Japan. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. All that good stuff. See you guys later.
Thank you.